needs no support. Kabisa. That's true. Julia Sapani says, good morning, Dennis, and Nduh, looking forward to today's injections. SpiceFM, Janet Okoh for 2 hours. You are spoiling us. Asante. Okay, maybe not 2. 1.5. How about that? Young Jedi is also tuning in this morning. Karibu Sana. Michael Anigo says, good morning, team. Tuning from the home of liars capital. Woo-wee. Okay, Sauti. Everybody's talking about this, guys.
Yeah.
We need to look into that. Papers. This is now when we need to find Eliud. Because there it is. It's going crazy and people can't hear what we are saying. Let's take a break on this and we'll come back and look into the headlines. It's a problem with the sound. Good morning, everybody. We love you too. Let's talk in a bit at 29 minutes to 7.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The weather with SpiceFM.
All right, so it's at 16 degrees, light rain this morning in Nairobi. We'll see a high of 22 and a high of 21 in a cloudy Nakuru. Njeri is raining as well at 16. Looks like it's raining through the day. Cloudy conditions into rain this morning in Kisumu at 20, and it's cloudy at 16 in Kakamega. Mombasa is partly sunny at 25, and we'll see sunny conditions through Malindi currently at 25, 19 and cloudy into Marsabit, while Kampala at 19 is cloudy. It's partly sunny at 24 in Dar es Salaam. 10 degrees and mostly clear into Johannesburg, while at 27 it's mostly cloudy in Lagos. It's 10 degrees and cloudy in London, and 18 and mostly sunny in Beijing. It's clear in New York Tuesday night at 11 degrees. Coming into Wednesday, we'll see a high of 18 and a low of 9.
Chilled Spice. Spice up your life. Traffic.
All right, so we know that the rain is coming down, and we're going to see traffic already. It started on Mombasa Road. It started pretty early this morning, early at about 4:15, and that's because part of the roads are flooded. It's still going to look like that as the rains keep coming down, and so we see that inbound traffic on Mombasa Road starting to pile up already, so you want to watch out for that. And then there's also traffic on North Airport Road. It's inbound and outbound. And as you go then in and out from Embakasi, it's going to do the thing. The Thika Superhighway already at the Pangani Underpass is clogged, and we see heavy traffic coming in from that Royal interchange. Some of that will go through towards the northern bypass and then find its way through to Kiambu Road, so all this traffic is meeting at some point. So it looks like the CBD will be a beehive of activity this morning. Plan your routes accordingly so that you don't get stuck. And do everybody a favor who has to walk this morning, that when you see a puddle, be the nice guy and go a little bit slower. Can we do that? All right. SpiceFM, KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
School is out and the fun is in. Feast your eyes and your kids' hearts on a feast like no other with StarTimes. Recharge your monthly subscription today and get upgraded to the next high bouquet for 1 full month. Turn your home into a world of adventure with Bluey on CBeebies, playful giggles on Baby TV and Gym Jam, learning that feels like play on Mindset Learn, non-stop action with the Batman on Toonami and the Powerpuff Girls on Boing, endless fun with SpongeBob on ST Kids, and thrilling wins with Super Strikers on ST Tunes. Unlock your upgrade today. Simply renew your subscription on your current bouquet and we'll automatically move you to the next high bouquet for 30 days. Dial *858# or call us on 0719 077 077 for customer care. Download the StarTimes On app to take the fun wherever you go. StarTimes. Enjoy digital life.
Vaccination is one of the most powerful ways to protect our children, our families, and our future. From birth, vaccines begin building a shield against dangerous diseases. The BCG vaccine protects against tuberculosis. Polio vaccine guard against polio. The pentavalent vaccine protects against diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, hepatitis B, and influenza. PCV protects against pneumonia. Rotavirus vaccine prevents severe diarrhea. Vitamin A strengthens the immune system. Measles rubella vaccine protects against measles and rubella. Yellow fever vaccine protects against yellow fever. And typhoid vaccine protects against typhoid. While the malaria vaccine helps reduce malaria in children. For adolescents, the HPV vaccine protects against cervical cancer. And the TD vaccine protects both mother and baby against tetanus and diphtheria. This World Immunization Week, remember, for every generation, vaccines work. Ensure your child and family receive all recommended vaccines on time. Vaccines are safe, effective, and available at your nearest health facility. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health and partners.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Very good morning to you. And so we had an issue with that stream, but yes, we are back. Nani alikanyaga waya ndio tunaulizwa usijali tumesort. Ndio. All right. We're going to look into the headlines now. We're going to start with the Standard, which is what we have available. When the rains come down, everything kind of seems to slow down as well. But that notwithstanding, let's look into it. On the front page of the Bold newspaper, Kenya's Bold newspaper, the Standard, Ruto ties hunt judge. Sounds like a scary movie. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the submissions and the interviews for the the Supreme Court judge's position that was left vacant with the unfortunate demise of Justice Ibrahim last year in December meant that you need to fill it because it is a 7-judge bench. Mm-hmm. Katwa Keegan, who has just been made a Court of Appeal judge in the month of, we're in April, it was February. Yeah, is applying for this position. And there were many questions yesterday. And this is what the headline says. Justice Katwa Keegan walked into his Supreme Court interview, his earlier Court of Appeals vetting still fresh in mind, only to be met with sustained questioning about his ties to President William Ruto and his decision to seek a seat at the Apex Court barely 3 months into his role, I beg your pardon, Freudian slip. Commissioners pressed him on whether he could be impartial in a presidential petition involving his former client, whether he would step aside and how he would respond to pressure from State House. He pushed back, insisting he would be guided by the law, but conceded that public perception of bias could still follow him if such a case landed before him. Mm-hmm. And I quote Martha Koome, who is the Chief Justice. She said, "We recently interviewed you successfully for the judge of the Court of Appeal, and you have been there for barely 3 months. And you have hardly been there for 3 months. You understand the HR practice. At least one stays in a job for 6 months to be evaluated for promotion." And I can understand where the commissioners were asking yesterday. Everything was fine. Of course, this is a position that is interviewed for by or rather proceeded over by the JSC, for whom the head of the JSC is the Chief Justice. Yes. Now, the questions all over the place. The president is your client, former client.
Not just once.
Because
remember, he also represented the president at The Hague.
This is it. Yeah. Represented him at The Hague. And this wasn't a personal thing. It was not a state function. Mm-hmm. So in the event that there could be a presidential petition for which he is part of it, are you saying that there would be no partisanship, no bias at all, especially now that you sit, if you were to get the job and you sat at the Apex Court? I think these are valid questions to ask. I also say that it looked as though he held his own, but those question marks are still lingering in the air. Yeah. We'll look into the details of that.
I mean, it's because remember, even the matter of the current prosecutor at The Hague, when President Ruto's matter showed up a second time when he was the chief prosecutor, he recused himself and stayed away from it.
He did.
So this is the questions that many are asking. You've dealt with him before as a client.
Yeah. Would you recuse yourself in a case? Yeah.
Especially in a matter where we need 7-judge bench to make a decision. Because remember, the Supreme Court, it's a game of numbers.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Well, I think the story on page 2 of the Standard is interesting. Governors agree to appear before the Senate watchdog committees. You don't have a choice.
You don't have a choice.
What do you mean? Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, we'll come. No. It is a duty. It's a demand constitutionally on you that you come to the watchdog committee.
Yeah.
That's why the Senate exists.
It's the law that ensures you show up.
I say,
It's not a question
agree.
of...
What, are you joking?
This time round, we're going to show up. When you rough us up, we'll not show up. No. It's not in your place to make
So,
that
okay, yeah,
decision.
fine, we'll come. No, this is not a tea party. It's actually something to do with the resources that should be protecting people. Come and answer those questions. According to one senator, following the meeting between the Senate leadership and the COG, the county chiefs will now appear before the watchdog committees after boycotting 2 months ago. You can't boycott. It's not like we're saying we won't wear stripes on Wednesday. Come on.
Let me tell you, this is the point where Parliament, Senate, both of them combined, right, would have to sit down. You see, we shall revisit.
Yes.
Revisit these budget allocations towards these counties and just put a stop to monies going there until they come to Parliament and answer queries that are there.
You just do your job.
It's that simple.
Just do your job.
Yeah. It's that
agreed.
simple. Arrest these people. Parliament has the has the authority to do that. Can't do that. Arrest these people. You know, we wanted to dilly-dally with the law as if the law is a suggestion. No, it is not.
And the funny thing for me is that the folks who have one of the highest responsibility indexes of ensuring that the Constitution is kept and followed is this group.
Yeah.
And then you decide, okay, yeah, well, let's see, we don't want to come, we don't feel like coming because you guys are one way or you're treating me a certain way, I'm not going to come.
You know, I don't get what these guys, the kind of oath they take, because the oath they take says, I will protect the Constitution of the Republic. You know what I mean?
It's not a 16-year-old girl's slumber party and say, I'm not coming because you looked at my boyfriend. Stop it. No, you have a job that you're supposed to do. And I think you can actually demand of people that that's what ought to happen.
Yeah.
So, Rigathi Gachagua was supposed to go to the UK. He was supposed to go on tour, but he said, you know what? All Kalau, I'm staying because Nico Hapa, I'm going to ensure that our man stays in the fight.
Yeah.
Africa wants a fair share of pandemic pathogen data. First of all, I am in this, what's that thing that people go on? Is it a journey? Soul searching. Something.
Yeah.
Whereby I'm starting to talk about the things in different spaces that Africa needs.
Yeah.
And if we don't discuss them, we are going down this dark rabbit hole to never come out of it again. Whereby you collect a lot of this information from Africa by setting up things like CDC, you set up other organizations, what are they called, these people? Bill and Melinda Gates come and they want to find out, then they want immunity where they come. We have to own our own. And if you want to collect data, then I should be able to have a share of that data as well. The people who are at Kemri, for example, the majority of them are African scientists. Yeah. So the same brain that you use to collect the data is the same brain that Africans are using to collect it as well. I could go off, but I think it's about time we need to start putting our foot down and say, excuse me, this is the globe. We are members. We're not asking for your permission. We are here.
I think
you don't want us to do, you say what?
Yeah, shut up. I think another thing that Africans need to talk about is this data has always been taken from us, right? So Africa should as well start having discussions on having autonomy on what that data does. It's not a question of we want this data, we're going to give you, but you need to have control on that data.
Yes.
Because if you have control on that data, you have the power with you.
Absolutely. Do you know how many... Look, I think I'm going to go do another master's. Yeah. Do you know that for the longest time, if we're going to talk about pathogens, do you know that for the longest time, we as Africans have been consuming medication that was not made for our makeup is very different. DNA. It's not for...
Very different.
So now there are people who are studying to make sure that drugs that are then manufactured in the future are for Africans because our makeup is different. It's just like people who used to use shampoo that was made for this long smooth hair.
Hair.
It's different from our hair
True.
structure.
True.
So the many things that we were fed, that we use, people used to come and tell us to use relaxers because we want your hair to look like, no. Our hair is kinky, it's long, it's full, it's all of that. I told you I can go.
And that's just us.
We're not even talking about drugs.
No.
Then you come and talk about drug resistance in Africa. It was not made for you.
Yeah.
It was not made for you. So this particular one is a big story.
This one's a big story. It's a big story.
Yeah.
And I think it's about time. It's about time because even if you go back to the recent pandemic, COVID, right? We consumed medication that never did any research using our antigens.
It was not studied for us.
Using our own gene. So we need to start having these discussions around us.
Yes.
Let's have this data with us.
And the truth is, they don't want us to.
No.
They don't want us to,
that's autonomy.
but we must.
We must. If Dangote has done it,
Ato,
we can do it.
Ex-IPOA chair has been grilled over his tenure, her tenure, I beg your pardon, in office at the helm of the agency. So now they're asking her, Auntie Alpha, when you were here, what did you do? So you'll be interested to hear some of her responses. Of course, you can't run away from that story on page 4 about Keegan's Ruto link. It's drawing scrutiny from the Supreme Court, but beyond that, it's gone into the court of public opinion as well. The thing about nature is that it abhors a vacuum. You don't give us the information that we'll look for. Guess what we're going to do? We are going to fill it, whether it is speculation or innuendo.
Yeah.
We are going to fill it.
And that's just life.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so whether it is by design or did he just say, actually, you know what? I've just been a Court of Appeal judge for 3 minutes. How about I see if I can get to the Supreme Court? Folks are telling us today, you guys think that it's just it's by design.
It's by design.
But apotundo tunawa?
Lakini, if you guys don't come clean, Kenyans watajijazia. And Kenyans are good at doing that.
I said they've already done it now. They're already telling us. Extend voter listing. City Youth urge IEBC. We want to come out and register, is what they're saying, IEBC. Just open the door. You will be surprised at the number of people who come. Just extend the time a little bit. There's another one. We know that it's coming up. That'll be announced soon, but do it.
Yeah. There's that story on page 7. Greek ballot papers farms 1 billion shillings tax storm. So the taxman is investigating possible tax evasion by the company that printed 2022 poll papers.
Oh, give me a break.
The firm also handled last year's national examination papers that was to pay a certain amount in taxes.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I beg jump and because...
So Kerry is claiming 1 billion shillings in taxes.
Now,
so
when was the election?
Yeah, 2022.
Now in 2026 is when they realize, oh my God, somebody else has 1 billion shillings.
Yeah.
Really? Every time you have to ask, this is the thing we're just saying about nature abhorring a vacuum. Every time something like this happens, when KRA comes out and says, these guys owe us 1 billion shillings. 1 billion shillings is not 10,000 bob.
No, it's not.
1 billion shillings is not even 100 million shillings. It's 100 million shillings times 10. Then you come and tell us that you just realized, oh, hang on a minute. The folks who printed the ballot papers and the folks who printed exam papers, they owe us money in back taxes. So now I have to ask, where's the Queen Bee? What's the real story here? What exactly is going on? Who is trying to get another by the short and curlies? It's not just somebody owing you 1 billion. What's the problem? And that's why we're going to ask the questions that we ask, because things are not always as they appear to be. Mulango Barasa is a writer, historian. On the opinion pages of the Standards today, he talks about Burkina Faso's Traore. He's right on economy but wrong on democracy. Many would argue that in order for you to get towards economic development and real economic independence, democracy is the last thing on the agenda. Some would argue, because if you want everybody to have a say in how you're going to get this thing done right, what do they say about too many cooks in the kitchen? Spoils the broth. So that's just the thing. And many will say, oh, Nduh, how can you be so undemocratic? Well, look at everybody who's trying to be democratic at the moment, quote unquote democracy. Where's that taking you?
I think even as you talk about Ibrahim Traore, one significant thing happened last week where the president of African Union, that is President Nduh, from Burundi, Ndayishimiye, I think, traveled to Burkina Faso. And one statement that stood out is he said, I now understand where Burkina Faso is coming from. Niko kwa ground, na kwa ground mambo ni different, because majority of these decisions that have been made at the African Union have been made without understanding what is happening on ground, where Burkina Faso is, and the decisions that are being made by Ibrahim Traore. Plus, combine that with how the people feel and what the people are saying with regard to the government that they do have at the moment. So, democracy, you go to people of Burkina Faso, what will they tell you? We're happy. What will they tell you? Is that we've seen roads. You're seeing roads being built. You're seeing their taxes now actually working. And you're saying that, okay, we don't have to survive under the heavy arm of foreign payments that are due because we've been able to sort that out. And so for them, they're saying, okay, actually, if this is working, perhaps we don't need to all... Now, when you fix the thing, then come and tell us later to all be part of the conversation. Yes. Because we tried the conversation before. It didn't work. And this is why we are here. Call me dictator, call me what you need to do at the moment. But there is a case to be made for somebody who takes a mess and creates a good thing out of it. There's a case to be made for that. And many would argue that for a lot of nations, that's what you actually need to do. All this thing, we're all sitting and saying, oh, let's all talk about it. Yes, I agree. Public participation, let's all agree. But you need public participation not when there's a mess. Guess what he just did? My favorite line. Just shut up and walked. Stop it. No, man. I don't know, but maybe there's a paper to be written about why a dictatorship at some level would work. I mean, if you go back to Gaddafi, man. If you go back to Gaddafi, a dictator, yes. But look at what Libya was to the continent. The richest country in the continent. GDP was very good. People were happy. Education from primary until all the way to tertiary. Free. You get out of school, you don't have a job. The government gives you stipend to sustain yourself in the meantime. It didn't happen. We're not talking about a country outside the continent. No, it's here. And now that they've messed it up, guess who's controlling the country? And they destroyed it. Okay, it was on the premise of we are bringing what? Democracy. Freedom and democracy. This democracy seems to have messed up a lot more things than it's actually helped. Right? So with Samen is going towards 7 o'clock. I want to go back to this pathogen data story. Yep. Africa wants fair share of pandemic pathogen data. African states and civil society organizations are demanding an equitable share of data exchange during pandemics and disease outbreaks. A lot of this information is taken and it is sent to the folks who organize things like clinical trials. They're putting stuff in the petri dish to then find out what's the best, medication that we can then offer and what will go through the trials. The call was made at the ongoing World Health Summit Regional Meeting 2026 in Nairobi, as the World Health Organization intergovernmental negotiating body holds its final session to include the pathogen access and benefit sharing annex. If adopted with the currently proposed dual track loopholes, the agreement could legally mandate the rapid extraction of African pathogen data while leaving the equitable access to vaccines and therapeutics entirely discretionary, meaning that we can say no, that when you take these samples or whatever it is that you do, we can say, no, you cannot take them out. You leave them here for us to then do our research. The sharing of pathogen data is guided by the pandemic agreement, which aims to direct nations on prevention, preparedness, and response to disease outbreaks. The agreement was adopted by WHO during the 78th World Health Assembly last year, following contentious negotiations. It seeks to establish binding mechanisms to govern how states share information and resource during pandemics. It forms part of broader reforms to international health regulations, drawing on lessons from the COVID-19 pandemic, which exposed gaps in the global emergency response system, with Africa amongst the hardest hit. However, some countries and blocs oppose aspects of the agreement and are pushing for control over pathogen data without guaranteeing benefits to provider countries. Most of them are in middle income countries. Are you surprised? Well, I'm not. They want control. And that's the thing about control, is that
if you control a particular narrative, you control the money, you control the resources, you are in control. And I'm not surprised that they're fighting back, saying, no, we want control because we are the ones who formulate the then medication after that. Then we formulate our own.
Yes.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it. That's what I'm saying. If you want to get information from me and then you then want to control how you use it and then sell Big Pharma then sells the medication back to me, then I'm going to say, excuse me, we can figure it out. After all, it was from your quarters where what did they tell us when this COVID thing started? That it's going to wipe out 50% of the population of Africa. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Okay. Agri Aluso, who is the Executive Director of Resilience Action Network Africa and Regional Director for Africa at the Pandemic Action Network, said the negotiations are pivotal and will determine whether African states secure fair terms under the pathogen access and benefit sharing framework to be presented to members of the World Health Assembly.
You know, this is what I'm going to say, right? Africa CDC needs to sit. African Union needs to have its position stated very well when it comes to healthcare of the continent.
Does it know its position? Okay.
That's why we're talking to them and telling them what they ought to do.
Okay.
And by them sitting down and intentionally funding that organization, look at what are some of the problems that we have in this. So we talk about malaria, we talk about Ebola and everything else, right? Sit down and have a solution towards that and have a depository in the continent that then when these hits, we know where to go and how to process that. We need to start small and build up on what we have moving forward. Because when you have something to bargain with, right, we have done this, we can do it, this data is ours, we want to process it because we can and we've shown the world that we can, then you'll have a clear and stronger bargaining power. But if we just sit and say, okay, sawa utachukua data, but we want to control the data, no. Control the data with something at hand.
I agree, but I take great issue with the African Union. I think you know this. I take great issue with the African Union that, first of all, as a body that's supposed to be dealing with a lot of these things on behalf of Africa, when you get your funding from external parties who then are vested in making sure that you only develop to a certain level, then I have a problem in terms of autonomy, in terms of what you're then going to be able. Who's funding the AU? Who's funding AU programs in Africa? Let's be serious here. The United States, the Western European nations, Germany, China, the UK, France, funding projects for development in Africa. And then you want to come and tell me that it's going to be autonomous in nature? Come on. There's certain things that we have to fix fundamentally.
Thank you.
Fundamentally, because you cannot, if we as African nations don't pay our dues to the African Union, and then we want to come and say, well, you know what, we're going to put the responsibility on. No. Apart from that, I want to then be able to understand in terms of robust geopolitics how the AU is actually functioning in that space. I've had an issue with it for the longest time. So even when everybody was here saying, oh, now let's rule the roost when it comes to the AU, you have to ask the question about what are you really doing? I've had an issue with it for the longest. There's another master's project.
But I think it's important. It's important because if we do not have a stake in all this and we do not control our own narratives and conversations, the reason why you see everyone wants to fund AU is because they know when rubber meets the road, they're able to just say we will close the taps.
Absolutely.
And by closing the taps, we are enabled to fund our projects locally. So all the 50-something plus states in the continent, what are we doing to fund AU so that we stop begging?
Because Dennis, if I fund you, I can control you, and that is what.
It's not I can. I do control you.
I do control you if I give you the money. Then I know exactly what it is. I know where I have you, and I can keep you there for as long as I need to. And then you want to come and tell me that development is not happening in Africa. That people want to talk about democratic moves towards 1, 2, 3. Africa rising, guys. Open your eyes about what truly the situation is here. So now they have your data.
Imagine you grow your cotton, but you don't have nets. What are you doing with your cotton?
Then you want to come and tell me that in 2026, the things that we've done, now we have digital tolls. Stop it. And now we know how many cars have entered the port because we have a digital number in red showing us. Nonsense and borders. It's 7 o'clock.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga. The Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers has raised concerns over the safety of teachers in the Northeast region, calling on the government to take responsibility for their safety when schools reopen for the second term. In a statement to the media, KUPPET Secretary General Akelo Misori has raised the issue of insecurity facing teachers in Garissa County and the entire Northeast region. The union has now urged teachers traveling to the region to be careful, especially those traveling to the Nairobi-Garissa highway, which has in the recent days witnessed many incidents of insecurity. KUPPET further revealed that several teachers have been killed in the region, others injured, while some were forced to interrupt their journeys due to terrorist attacks. Regarding SHA, KUPPET has announced that it will hold its meeting starting today in Naivasha to address the crisis plaguing the insurance company. The Senate has invited Kenyans to submit their views on the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2026, which seeks to bar former governors from vying for Senate and member of county assembly seats for 5 years after leaving office. The public hearing will be held on Thursday at the Kenyatta International Convention Center Amphitheatre in Nairobi from 9 a.m. That's tomorrow from 9 a.m., where the Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights will receive oral presentations and written memoranda from members of the public and stakeholders. In a notice, the Senate stated that the bill was read for the first time on Thursday last week and was thereafter committed to the committee for consideration in line with parliamentary procedure. Those who will not be able to attend the hearing are asked to submit their views in writing to the clerk of the Senate or via email to clerk.senate@parliament.go.ke by May 8th at 5 p.m. Embakasi North Member of Parliament James Gakuya has threatened legal action against National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah over what he terms defamatory remarks linking him to criminal activities. In a demand letter, Gakuya accused Ichung'wah of making false and malicious statements during an appearance on the Obina Show on April 23rd. According to the letter, Ichung'wah allegedly claimed that Gakuya was involved in organizing violence and criminal activities, including the invasion of Northlands Farm in 2024. The letter further cites Ichung'wah as alleging that Gakuya mobilized youth to destroy property. Lawyers representing Gakuya termed the remarks false, scandalous, defamatory, reckless, malicious, and wholly devoid of any factual or evidence foundation. Now, they said the remarks portrayed their client as a criminal actor and a sponsor of organized violence and painted him as morally bankrupt, corrupt, and unfit to hold public office. And finally, the final contingent of 150 Kenyan police officers deployed under the MSS mission in Haiti has arrived back in the country, marking the end of Kenya's deployment. The officers were received by Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen and Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja after landing at JKIA last evening. This group represents the last march of Kenyan personnel to return from the Caribbean nation since the journey began in June 2024. Here is DIG Gilbert Masengeli.
Our officers, under the leadership of the Force Commander Karibuni Nyumbani, welcome back home. You departed our shores as trained officers with only your equipment and hope, but you've returned home as a battle-tested professional, having operated in one of the most complex and dynamic, demanding security environments of the world. You carried the Kenyan flag with honor. You upheld the discipline and resilience and defiance of our service, you demonstrated beyond doubt that Kenya police officers can stand shoulder to shoulder with the best globally.
That's the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Every time he kept on saying he wants a vibrant opposition.
How does it make sense that public money has been used for anything and then they dare to sell it back to you? Why are they not giving them for free?
That's how broken we are. That's how broken we are.
They're being sent home now for fees. They're going to fail to prepare. We are compromising the futures of these children.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Parliament has got powers. Let me break it down. The National Assembly can initiate an impeachment of the president.
This same
and the
National Assembly.
Yes. That's our constitution.
This is just a continuation of the previous administration, which Ruto was part of. President Uhuru himself openly said that we're losing 2 billion daily. Daily. I mean, come on. Are you saying that we don't have a central bank?
If we look at Kenya, both public-private sector, that figure is ranging between 30 to 40%, right?
I think it's clear that the government of Kenya is living beyond its means.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Baba should disown these experts and say they went there on the, because he keep on telling us that these experts just you came from Dubai and you found them there already at State House looking for jobs.
Government has to has to introduce austerity measures. It's something that this government and the previous ones have not been able to do in this country. We've talked about it so many times.
And really, I think you have seen the modus operandi of William Samoei Ruto since he came in. It's just showbiz.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
A very good morning to you. It is 8 minutes after 7 o'clock, and thank you for being here this morning as we get into our next conversation. It is one that you want to be here for sure, because we continually ask the question about what ought to happen when it comes to how the implementation of certain things will be, delivering the promises to the Mwananchi and figuring out what's Bunge's role. We'll talk about that in just a minute, but must I remind you of something? Yes, I must. And what is that? That if there's certain symptoms that you have and you're feeling a little bit under the weather, because the weather's going to do a doozy on you with the rain, that's for sure, don't Google your symptoms. You can actually go to a medical facility near you. Find a trusted healthcare provider. The Aga Khan University Hospital has brought you specialized world-class care to your neighborhood. Conveniently located clinics offer specialist clinics, diagnostics and pharmacy services, ensuring you and your family receive the absolute best. So you can see your cardiologist, you can see your pediatrician, gynecologist, family physician, surgeon, diabetologist, gastroenterologist, neurologist, pulmonologist, among other consultants near your home. So families on Gong Road, we're focusing on you this week and its environs. We got you with the medical centers at the following locations: Prestige Plaza, Valley Arcade Shopping Center, the Bina Complex in Karen, T-Mall, Gongtown. Visit any Aga Khan University Hospital Medical Center in your hood today or call 0730 011 888. That's 0730 011 888. The Aga Khan University Hospital, world-class care here and now. So now you know what to do if you're feeling a bit of a headache, something's not going on right. You don't have to go far. You can actually do that on Gong Road. Those you can find, and we'll talk about more later. All right, like I said, in terms of Bunge's role in trying to figure out how promises will be kept, we're talking this morning, and he's here in the hot seat with us. It's been a minute, but he's here this morning. Robert Mbui is the Member of Parliament for Kaviani, and he's also the Deputy Minority Leader. He's in the hot seat this morning. Good morning, Mheshimiwa.
Morning.
How are you doing?
Very well.
It's been a
call it a hot seat, and it's very cold.
This morning. This morning it is. There we admit. But I reckon that with some of the things that you will probably shed light on today, that it won't take long to warm things up, right? Yeah. So thank you for joining us today. We're very glad that you've done that. It hasn't changed in the sense that we still go around the African continent every week. We come back with a problem from a particular country. Dennis will share where we are, and we'd love to get your interpretation.
Yes, today we are in Equatorial Guinea. Facts about it. The president has been there for 47 years now. It's a country that is rich in resources. We talk about oil, but like any other African story that soon would change with Nigeria showing us the way through Aliko Dangote. They ship it outside the country and import it back at exorbitant prices. But let's go to the proverb. A lie may run, but it never outruns the truth. How would you interpret it?
Wow. I mean, in the Kenyan context, it's perfect. During campaigns, we got extremely, rosy promises, which I guess probably people are using so that they could get elected. But, it catches up with them. Now we are going to another election, and, the truth is catching up with the lie. So I guess that basically it means that you can't keep lying to people. I mean, eventually the truth will come out, and that's what has happened in Kenya. We got cheated into the election, and now a year into the election, people know they were lied to, and of course you can see, the whole country has changed. Yeah. So I guess that's basically what it means.
So the report card will always show.
Oh yes, definitely.
It's interesting that you say that, because that is the direction in which you go to for this conversation this morning, and that there were certain things that people were told on the campaign trail or otherwise, and then it then becomes Bunge's role, or maybe I shouldn't say it, but ask it. Is it Bunge's role then to ensure that the promises that have been made by the folks who then come in as the majority ruling government, is it Bunge's role to ensure that those promises are kept before we now start to look into them?
Incidentally, it's Bunge's role is clearly stipulated in the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya, and Bunge has it's supposed to deal with matters of concern to the people. So any issue of concern, like the people being killed in Kitui County, that's a matter that Parliament can deal with. When it comes to the agenda for development, it's very clear that's actually just the job of the executive. And I think one of the biggest problems we have faced as a country is that members of Parliament are elected and they think their work is to provide roads and to provide water and electricity. That's not their role. The Constitution says that a member of Parliament has three major roles. One of them is to oversight. In essence, make sure that the money that you appropriate to the executive is used properly, and these holes and gaps and misuse of that money is sorted out. So that's really one of the roles. The other one is to make laws, to legislate, and then when you're making laws, some of the bills that come to the House are actually private member bills. There's also making law by government. But then members of Parliament are supposed to interrogate any bill that is brought by the government and make sure that it basically is good for the people that elected them. And then finally, I think it's representation of the people. And basically that means that if people have matters that concern them, your work is to make sure you speak on their behalf, because not everyone will go to parliament. But when you speak in parliament, you speak for the people that elected you. In fact, the National Assembly is different from the county, from the Senate. Because National Assembly, when you speak for every Kenyan. A Senate, you speak for the county that has elected you. So as a member of parliament for Kathiani, when I speak on the floor of the house, I'm actually not speaking for Kathiani only. I'm speaking for Kenyans, because it's our work to represent them. And I guess out of the constitution, we also have this other job of making the budget, which we do in consultation and in together with the treasury. So basically, those are the roles. But many times, you find members of parliament completely mixed up and going to the constituencies and giving promises about roads, about electricity, about water, and that's really not their job. If members were to understand their job, then it would be fairer, because then the executive does their work and we do ours. In fact, it is easier to allow the executive to do the work which they promise when they are vying for office, so that you make sure that you check them. And I would say this: if you look at counties, county governors, they are part of executive. So when a person who's vying for governor makes promises, it is a responsibility of the county assembly members to ensure that those promises, they can hold them to account. Now, at the same time, when the president goes around making promises during campaigns, it is the responsibility of National Assembly to hold him to account. You told us that Mama Mboga will be lifted from the bottom. In fact, you told us Mama Mbogas are going to have supermarkets. So we want to know how many Mama Mbogas have got supermarkets in Kenya. That's accountability.
And I think, Mheshimiwa, it's very interesting that you bring that up, because you look at the roles as you've clearly stipulated. And I'm looking at the promises that were given to Kenyans 2022 and the responsibility then of Parliament to ensure that these promises are actually implemented or are delivered to the people, because at that point, you as Mbui are speaking to the people of Kathiani, and these are individuals who look upon you to ensure that these things are actually delivered. That when you get to Parliament as members of Parliament, it is no longer about we are pro-government. You are members of Parliament who are supposed to ensure that citizens of the Republic get services, get the job done. But that's not the story, though.
Well, I'll say that where the problem is when members don't understand their roles clearly. Because you see, the executive, members of Parliament are not the ones that do implementation. And they are also not the ones that do the expenditure. Members of Parliament are supposed to oversight. So our work is to even your promises. You told us you will do 1, 2, 3. So it's a responsibility of members of Parliament to hold you to account to what you said. Now, for example, the current regime, and it's important to talk about the regime in office, because it's the easiest example. Now, when they were vying, and I just said, they told us that Mama Mboga will be uplifted. I would like them to show me how they have done it, because they told us they'll put money in our pockets. But the first thing they did is actually, with the first finance bill in 2023, was to actually take money out of people's pockets. So when you say one thing and do another, clearly that goes against the expectation of the public. Now, members of Parliament, unfortunately, some get caught in this matter of saying that I am part of government because I am elected on a UDA ticket, and UDA is forming government. So you believe that your responsibility is to do everything that the executive tells you to do. Yes. But actually, all of us as Parliament, whether in the majority or in the minority, our role is actually to oversight together. So if there is a minister that is not doing their job, when we start questioning them, it's a responsibility of every member to actually allow that questioning, so that we can get answers on behalf of the people that we represent. Several times I've asked certain questions. I remember in about a year or two ago, actually 2024, I remember asking a question to the CS for education, whether they were prepared for the for the CBE system that was going to grade 9.
Yes.
Because in 2020, the first grade 9 was in 2025.
Yes.
So in 2024, I asked this question: are we ready? Do we have the classrooms for grade 9? Do we have the lab, because we require to have a lab in junior secondary so that we can be able to transition? And then the CS came to Parliament, and of course I would say he lied, because he said they were ready. It's almost 2 years later, we still have that problem. I travel in the constituency, everywhere I go, I'm told, oh, Mheshimiwa, we need a lab, please organize so that we can get a lab done. We need an extra class. It's a problem up to now. Now, it is the role of every member, at the time when I asked such a question, that every member can contribute and say, look, we have a problem even in our own regions where we come from. But what happens is that because you are elected on a UDA ticket and UDA has formed government, you think your responsibility is to defend the CS. So when we are asking those hard questions, there will also be members defending and attempting to answer on behalf of the CSs. I think that's where the problem is. That's where the tragedy is.
Is it a forgotten role or a misunderstood role? A kind of like what you've alluded to, that it sounds almost terrible to say, Mheshimiwa, that there are members of Parliament who should be fulfilling those 3 roles which you have explained, but don't understand. Do they not understand, or do they choose not to? Because what it appears like, again, alluding to what you've said, is that so long as you're part of a ruling party, for example, that you believe then your job is to endorse everything that should come and not push for the representation, oversight, budgetary that you have spoken about earlier. Is it forgetfulness or just lack of understanding?
I think it's a hangover from our old constitution that, a lot of people have not transitioned. I'll tell you, even part of the executive has not transitioned. Our president himself has not transitioned from the Kanu days where the president was all powerful. And that's why you find even up to now, the members of parliament who are elected in parties that don't form government, but the first thing they do is they end up in State House, and then you ask them, what are you doing there? They say, we are looking for development for our people. Those kind of things, it means that people really don't understand their role. If we understood our role, and you go to the campaign trail knowing what is it you're expected to do, then even our campaign becomes easier. But again, it's also something I think I would also blame partly the public itself. The general public expect that when you stand there to vie for MCA, that you tell them what you do for them. And chances are there's some character vying for MCA will be saying, oh, I'll make sure you have roads, I'll provide you with water, I'll build schools. And they don't have, they will not have the resources. MCAs don't have resources. Members of Parliament don't have resources. Both the National Assembly and Senate, they don't have resources to be able to do this development agenda. So when they stand up and say, "Oh, I'll build roads, I'll provide you with electricity," they're lying. In fact, the answer I always give, because people will always ask you in every public Barasa, "Oh, Mheshimiwa, we have no electricity." I tell them, you know what? We will make sure that we liaise with the REREC to inform them of the area that is neglected. But I'm sure that in the fullness of time, every area will get connected. But there is a member who will go and say, I'm going to make sure that it's connected, as if they have the resources, and they don't. So I think it's a misunderstood thing, because we've changed our constitution about how many years ago now? About 16 years ago, and there are people who are still hung up to the old system. Otherwise, right now, the system that we have, members of Parliament, whether majority, minority, we are the same. We do the same job, and the executive does their job. If they don't fulfill their promises, it's our work to tell them they're failing.
I mean, Robert, I look at Parliament and how it is structured, right? So I look at government as well, executive, as part and parcel of kind of interconnected with Parliament in terms of originating bills and passing them down to Parliament. And that then would be presented before the House by the majority leader, who then leads government business in the House. And at that point, then one would hope that the bills that originate from government and majority leader, being one that sits in Parliament, is the first buffer zone to sit down with the executive and tell them, I think this one would not sit well with Parliament because of A, B, C, D. Perhaps before coming to Parliament, we can sit down even through our caucuses, parliamentary group meetings, and see how we can adjust these things before it ends up to before the floor of the House. But I look at the idea you say that we've not transitioned, and I look at politics of tokenism that have been played before, and you see that being played even in the 2010 Constitution. That's why you find an MCA will come tell you that I will bring you roads, water, I will give you bursary, yet they know very well, either they know that they don't have the resources, but will keep on lying because that is what Mwananchi wants to hear. But I just want to hear your comment with regard to the majority leader and whether they serve the purpose of a buffer zone before bringing bills to Parliament or advising the president.
Now, I'll say this, that when bills come from the executive, one of the first things that Parliament is expected to do is actually run them through what we call public participation.
Yeah.
That's in Article 10 and a few other articles of our Constitution. That decisions are not made by Parliament independent of the people that elected them.
Yes.
That you run those bills by them. And the members of the public will give their opinions. If you look at and I like talking about some of the bills that everyone knows about, like the 2023 finance bill.
Yep.
Now, it's taken through public participation. And the general public says no. Everyone who goes in front of the committee says, no, we are uncomfortable. This is not good for us. I mean, this is going to hurt us. The minute you you reduce our disposable income, you mess up the economy because we need money to circulate. So if you take away all my money and it becomes part of taxation, then it's only the government that will be spending. The rest of us have nothing to spend. So you hurt business. And of course, at the end of the day, when businesses are hurt, and you saw what happened, so many businesses closed. So general public is supposed to be involved. So the government brings their bills, they go through the leader of majority, they are taken to the committee that is responsible. In that case, the one I've talked about is Finance Committee of the House. Then the committee goes for public participation. And this is an exercise that costs a lot of money. Kenyans are invited from all walks of life to come and give their opinion. The tragedy is that everything Kenyans say is ignored. So that means we are working at the behest of the executive. And that's why some of us say that, the parliament has been captured by the executive, because why is it that we can see this is going to hurt the people that we represent, but we still go ahead and vote in its support? We still go ahead and ignore their opinion. And that's why you saw the young Kenyans decided, no, I mean, we are going to salimia you because of...
but for what, Mheshimiwa? Because we talk about the state capture, we talk about the capture of Parliament, but this is not the kind of capture whereby somebody puts a mask over your head and, puts handcuffs on you and throws you into the trunk of a vehicle. This is willingly endorsing, ceding, willingly ceding, not your own power. You are ceding the representative power of the people to an individual. You're doing this willingly. Every time you agree to an increased debt ceiling, every time you deny the voice of the people when they went through public participation, every time people have told you very clearly, this is what we want, and you are the one to represent us. Every time that happens and going against the grain of the majority of the population, every time that's happening, but it's happening willingly. You're not, when you say you've captured, when the executive has captured, it's almost like saying, here I am, please take me. It doesn't sound to me like it's being forced. So then the more damning question comes in saying, why should Kenyans make a selection over folks who have shown time and time and time again that they are actually not able to represent them as the Constitution demands?
I totally agree with you. And that's why I'm one of I'm an advocate of, study what your member has done over the period that you've elected them.
Yeah.
And thank God that every 5 years there is an opportunity to make a decision again. Yeah. And there are those that will serve one term and go home. There are those that might get an extra term based on their service and what they have done for the people that elect them. So it's an individual thing. But generally, if I could just be blunt, I think majority of members of parliament fall in the category of those that are not representing the constituents. And that's why, and I'm not talking about this particular parliament, I'm talking about parliaments from time immemorial.
Okay.
That is why people are elected, and about 70% are kicked out after 5 years. Why would you be elected overwhelmingly with over 90% votes, and 5 years down the road, nobody wants to see you? It basically means that you have failed. So I think I'm happy that Kenyans get an opportunity every 5 years. The only thing Kenyans have to do is be careful when they're electing, because unfortunately during that period, there is two things that happen. There are people that are very good at lying. And they can tell you a very good story. I mean, they can weave a very good yarn, and you know people buy into it. And William Samoei Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, is one of such person. Those that are very good at giving a good story. He gave us very good stories. I mean, if you are to unpack the things that the president has said to the electorate and the ones that he has achieved, I mean, it would be shocking.
Can you go through a couple of those? Because I have a list, but let me just do three.
I remember he, first and foremost, let's talk about those that he promised that he will uplift. That was Mama Mboga and Boda Boda. And that was his slogan. Everywhere he went, he said, "This is a hustler nation, tutainua Mama Mboga and Boda Boda." His formed government, I would be interested in seeing how many Mama Mbogas and Boda Bodas have been uplifted. When he was, he did his convention of UDA, when he was being endorsed as a candidate, he said, when I get into office, there will be free diapers for all women that give birth.
That was one of the ones on my list, and I want to ask you, how that would work from a legislative point of view, then to a budgetary point of view. So if he says,
he never brought a proposal.
Okay, so that's why I want to ask you exactly how that would work, so that we can get an understanding. Because I think a lot of times where we fall into a bit of a conundrum is that we don't understand the process of a promise being made, and then what happens in the legislative body on towards spending the money. So then it's very easy for us to get caught up in the excitement of the promise without understanding that this is what would happen when it comes to brick and mortar. Now, when the president, before he became president, in this, I don't know what they were being called, schedules? I can't remember, but there was one for each sector. Something, pillars, something.
Manifesto.
In the manifesto, there were pillars.
Oh, yeah, there were pillars.
It was meet the people,
right?
Something, yeah.
So one of the things he did say, and it was great. I mean, the thought of it, I think about it and I think, well, that would be absolutely wonderful. Because women who give birth, one of the most expensive things is the diapers that you deal with in that period when this baby is so small. Because this is where the rubber meets the road, isn't it?
Yep. Oh, yes.
When he says that we will provide every birth mother with diapers for 3 months. That means that by the time that child is born, until they get to 90 days, where so many things are happening here, that you don't need to be dealing with that very expensive cost. Now, when he says that, that's about half the population, and maybe the birthing stage is now 50% of that 50% at a particular time. Now, when it comes to Parliament, I mean, it's great. Everybody heard it. When it comes to Parliament, what would need to happen in the National Assembly for that to, because it's legislative, because everybody who goes to hospital to give birth is going to get 3 months worth of diapers. Is it delivered to your home? Does somebody say, here's the money, come to your county, or go to a Huduma center, pick up the money? How would it work for that to happen if it was true?
I wish you were to ask William Samoei Ruto that question, because he's the one who gave that promise. But I can say this, that if I was to make such a promise in such an office, and I assumed office, then it would be one of those things that I would propose in my budget cycle. Because the budget actually starts from the budget policy statement that comes from the Treasury. And so I would propose that it would be part and parcel of what is in the proposal.
Right.
That let us set aside would obviously do some kind of estimate how many women would be expected to be giving birth on maybe monthly or annually, so that you can be able to do that annual budget, and you do a budget of the cost of the diapers, and then you propose it and you bring it in the budget.
Right.
It was never done. There has never been any proposal concerning diapers.
So then it was not intended. It was never intended.
It was a story. I mean, that's why I'm saying the biggest problem we have is very good storytellers during campaign period.
Okay.
I'll tell you another one. That when the president met women in KICC, he told them he's going to make sure that the price of mtungi of gas who come down to, he said two figures, to 500 or 300.
Yes.
Now he gave two figures. So I immediately gave two figures. That was a red flag. I knew they've been lied to.
Okay.
Because you can't have two figures. 500 and 300 are totally different figures. So if you give two figures, it means you're lying. But again, there's never been any attempt to reduce the price of gas to anywhere near those figures.
If anything, it has increased in cost.
Yeah. Of course it has. But that was a promise that was given. And there's never been any legislative proposal from the executive to try and do that. I mean, he went to some market and said that, you have been struggling with your phones, making calls, and it's very expensive. You need bundles. From when I become president, I'm going to make sure we have free Wi-Fi in every market. Sasa mambo ya bundles ya kupiga simu will be a thing of the past. There's never been a proposal to attempt to do that. The only thing we've had is an attempt to do some, ICT hubs, a few within every constituency, maybe probably every ward. So that would be 1,450 such hubs. And the hub is like a room where people can come and be taught something to do with ICT. That doesn't give free Wi-Fi in the markets. So people can make free calls. But that was a promise. So I'm just saying that the problem we face as a country is that we have very, very good people in giving stories. But when it comes to implementation, they have no intention at all.
They were charters. That's what they were. They were charters. That's what they were in this manifesto. Okay.
And they were just stories.
Okay.
I mean, Robert, I want to look at what you've just mentioned, the stories that were given through a manifesto, through these charters that were given. And what happens to these manifestos once one gets into power? Because today we're talking about all these things that are promised through these charters that made the better agenda, right? But today no one is talking about implementing that manifesto. So is it just part of the story to get to power with zero implementation of the same? And I would further ask a follow-up question that is Parliament or members of Parliament, especially those who are aligned to the executive, afraid that if they don't speak the president's language, development would not come to them? But then again, does the executive have the power? Does the president have the power to say, like, say, in your constituency, you've brought a motion in the House and you say, I want an extra school. Does the president have power to say, no, you will not have that school or that class constructed in your constituency simply because you are not speaking the same language, especially if it has gone through Parliament? Or is it that these members of Parliament just do not know their role and the power they have, and that the president does not have the power to control development going to the constituencies?
Actually, you kind of have nailed it, hit the nail on the head. You've nailed it. The reality is that the members of Parliament have power. The House of Parliament is actually more powerful than the executive. There are three arms of government. I mean, there's a legislative arm, that's Parliament. We have the judiciary, and we've got the executive. That's the presidency and his team. If you, in strict reading of the Constitution, you realize that a lot of the power is actually vested in Parliament. In fact, including even the power of budget. Even though you're supposed to do it in consultation with Treasury, but Parliament, in terms of even by sheer fact that they must pass it, get some excess, more power than
even amend it.
Yes, they can even amend it, and for the budget to exist, members of Parliament must vote for it. So Parliament is actually more powerful, in my opinion, than the executive when it comes to certain things. But we cede this power because of personal selfish interests. Because I want to be able to get favors that will probably, more projects done in my constituency than another constituency. So basically, I would rather give that power to the executive because I am aligned to the executive. But if Parliament was to actually, put their foot down, we would do like what you see in CDF, where the money going to all the constituencies is discussed and it is shared equally across board. I'm serving my third term in Parliament, and I can tell you, when it comes to national government projects, I can only speak of two projects in more than 10 years. One road that was launched in 2017 by William Samoei Ruto, which has never been completed.
What do you mean?
one road, one tarmac road, which was launched by the then
He was the deputy
president
at the time?
Yes, he was deputy president. 2017, from a place called Keno to a place called Kaani in the constituency. It's not even a very long, very big, very long stretch. But that road has never been completed. In fact, the last 3 years since William Ruto became president, it kind of stalled.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, it was a struggle to get anything done. The people who supplied and the people who provided their services, my own constituents are constantly up in arms complaining about what is owed to them.
Pending bills.
Now that's one project. The other one is staff houses for police at the constituency headquarters in Kadhiani. Not even a big building. I think barely about 20 houses. That is it for 3 terms. But you go to certain constituencies and you find projects from one corner to the other. And so this is happening because members of parliament, instead of taking power to themselves, and allowing that we discuss these things and be fair to each other, they would rather give the power to the executive and then allow the executive to do favors for them, so that the project that is coming to your constituency is because you are aligned. And me, because I'm not aligned and I am from the minority, if I raise my voice, you allow me to speak, I'll be heard, but I'll never have my way. That's where the problem is. I think going forward, people must understand that if you are elected, Parliament must sit and look at things in totality, not listen to what they are told by the executive. And that's where we've been failing, because the executive says we don't want a road in a certain place, we want it done in this place, and members will just agree instead of sitting and asking ourselves, so what is a road network in Kenya? Which areas do we want roads to be done? Why? How much should we provide in this area? We will receive a budget that has been done by Treasury, by mandarins in Treasury, supported, of course, by a big team of economists that sits in State House. And then they'll come and bring it to the House as a policy statement. Changing it will be done, but very minor. Primarily, it will be followed almost to the letter. So I think that's where the problem is. And this is done even before public participation. So that means even when you do public participation, what people will say will not be taken into consideration, because the president in his genius and his executive have already decided. That's where we go wrong as a country. I think going forward, the proposals you are giving of members themselves to take charge and to take authority. I'll give you an example. The other day we had this National Infrastructure Fund debate on the floor.
Yes.
Now, this is a proposal that you form a fund where when you sell all our assets, you put it there. You put them there.
Yes.
Now, of course, I opposed it because I first don't want even the sale of the assets. You're selling Kenya Pipeline, you're selling Safaricom, everything you're selling, you want to put the money there. But the intention is that you want to use this money in this fund to borrow again. You're borrowing outside the bracket that you talked about, the debt ceiling.
Yes.
Because this is not through the consolidated fund. It's a fund on the side, but with authority to borrow. So when you borrow with that fund, I think the initial intention was to raise about 4 trillion.
Yes.
Now, actually 5 trillion. 5 trillion.
Yes.
Now, 5 trillion is bigger than our national budget.
Yes.
Bigger than our national budget, and only for infrastructural development. So I said that we have a proposal to amend this law so that Parliament can be monitoring and checking what are the projects that you are actually undertaking using this law, so that every quarter we get a report. And it was opposed by members of the majority party. They completely opposed it. And what was shocking me is that the whip would just stand up and tell them, no, it just says X, and that's it. And I even remember saying, how can you give away power? That was the time power was the slogan. I said, look, how do you give away power? People are fighting for power. You are saying, let's give away our power. So I think we have a very rogue house, and not this one, but even the ones I've seen in the past. Kenyans now need to ask themselves, what caliber of people do you want to elect? I was telling you that there are 2 types of people that there are those that are intending to, they're elected. In fact, no, it's not here, but I was talking to someone, I was telling them, there are 2 types of people elected in the house. People that are determined to make lives better for the people that elect them. That's one group. And I can tell you it's probably about half of the House.
Okay.
There is another group, people that are intending to benefit themselves at a personal level. So if you elect people that are intending to benefit themselves at a personal level, how do you expect them to provide services for you?
It's tough.
So people have to be careful. You must look at history of the people that are asking you for their votes and get their track record so that you can know this is the kind of person we can elect that will help us. Some of the people elected have been holding parastatal offices and have even, criminal records. We have members that are, people that have been running from one court to the other.
Some in jail.
Yeah. So I mean, Kenyans themselves also have to take up this challenge.
Indeed.
Because it is Kenyans who decide what caliber of people come to the House. Now, if you're going to give your vote to the highest bidder because somebody can come to your village and give everybody 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000, if the fella disappears with all your money for the next 5 years, then you can't complain because after all, you've bought the vote. So it's important for our viewers to also know that there is a role that general public also plays.
Indeed, and one of those roles, interestingly, has come out into the public arena for a while, especially since the 2024 finance bill protest that took place. And one of the things that started out was that there was public call for recall your member of parliament, because we're talking about that unit of representation, budget making, oversight, legislation. We're saying that at that point, if this person is not fulfilling the role that they ought to, then you can actually recall them and say, you know what, folks, it seems that we made a mistake and perhaps we need somebody else to be in that position. But then it became very murky because the folks who are supposed to oversee the process of ensuring this should happen are the members of parliament themselves. So we don't see a situation whereby Robert Mbui is going to set up a mechanism whereby it makes it easy for you to remove Robert Mbui. So then it becomes an exercise in futility because we just keep going round and round the ragged rock and we're not ending up anywhere. So is it, first of all, just demystify this thing for us. Is it true? Can you actually recall your member of parliament and say, you know what, you are actually not working. Just come and go do your private business and let somebody else come and handle these three roles that the constitution demands of them. Is it actually possible to recall your member of parliament in Kenya today?
I think the constitution does allow that. But I think the law that was passed by Parliament was it faced headwinds, I think, in court. Yeah, so there was a law actually, and the problem was the court process. Now fast tracking your own slaughter is not not exactly.
I wouldn't imagine it was.
But I can tell you that currently you saw what happened when the Gen Zs hit the streets and members of parliament had to change phone numbers and people had to vacate their homes because they hit out very hard. Actually, a lot of members had to get security for their, particularly those that were in the majority, because all these bills passed through a majority vote. So I think those would be the same people that would be passing a law allowing impeachment. And look at it this way: if people are so they're so annoyed with you that they can come and burn your house, that they can come and stone you, that they will not allow you to even visit the constituency, they would impeach you. And so if you are many of you facing the same situation, the same challenge, then you can easily gang up. But I think this thing was actually held up in court, not in parliament. Yes.
I mean, Robert, there is the question on the leadership of the House, and that has come forth for a very long time, that the Speaker of the National Assembly is the weakest link when it comes to Parliament being captured. That the Speaker of the National Assembly has been seen as the one who sings kumbaya with the executive and forgotten the role of the National Assembly. How would you rate the Speaker of the House? Is it making it easier for the House to be captured?
Let me say this, that of course every speaker, even and I'm serving under the second speaker, every speaker somehow seems to have an allegiance to the side that elected them. Remember that just J.B. Muturi was elected by Jubilee, and so therefore for the 10 years he was a little aligned to that side. It happens even in the US. The only thing is that there are certain excessive actions that a speaker could do. But if a speaker balances and allows members from both sides to be heard, then that's
so he shouldn't be overtly biased.
Well, it shouldn't be overly biased. Now, I can tell you my problem would be with the deputy speaker, because the speaker, yes, of course, there are obvious weaknesses that everybody has seen, but the deputy speaker at one time refused to allow me to point out to the House that there were no people in the House while they were discussing the sale of, I think it was the sale of Kenya Pipeline.
Yes, she did actually.
There were no members in the House, and I raised on a point of order, and she completely ignored me. I shouted, she completely ignored me. I ended up actually grabbing the mess because I had no alternative. Because you're selling Kenya Pipeline, Kenyans haven't authorized it, and the House has about 15, no, actually less than, there were about 12 members in the House at that time. You minimum quorum is 50. So how do you allow 12 members to transact? And out of the 12 members, remember there is one or two or three or four that are already on the minority side. So in essence, we are talking about eight members of parliament are going to make a serious decision.
Right.
A decision that turns the country around.
So what happens in that situation when there are so there are 290 members of parliament, right?
For you to have quorum,
to sit in that house, so 50 should be in the house for quorum.
Yes.
And in order for a substantive decision to be made, you must achieve quorum.
Yes, there must be quorum, yes.
So if there are 8 people in the house, 8.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4,
and
5, 6, 7, 8.
You can tell from if you look at the videos of that time when I was being thrown out, there was no one in the house.
I actually watched that session when you were thrown out because of 1, 2, 3.
Grabbing the mess,
So for something like that, please explain how this process happens. If there are 8 people in the house for which a quorum of at least 50 is required, how does this thing pass?
What happens is that the speaker, again, that's a law, that's our standing order. The speaker is not supposed to see. So the speaker cannot raise the issue of quorum, even if it's one person. As long as there's somebody there, the speaker is not supposed to see that there is no quorum. So it is a member who rises on their place and says and rises on a point of order, and then when they're given that opportunity is when they say there is no quorum.
Right.
And so therefore, because there is no quorum, I can't remember the standing order, then we can't proceed. So you stop business and then you ring the quorum bell for a period, so that members who may be in the lobby, some may be having a cup of tea, some may be in their offices, but they're able to watch what's going on. They can now stream in and then we can continue. But when the speaker refuses to acknowledge you, and I'm saying point of order, they know the reason I'm raising this point of order, because they're not, they may be blind basically in terms of what their law says, but they are not blind, physically blind. They can see there's no people. So they know why I'm raising on a point of order, and they ignore.
But more importantly, beyond, because many could argue, okay, so maybe somebody was in a spot of bother that day, didn't like your tie, didn't like the way you were looking that day. It happens to human beings. And then the thing escalated to a point where it should not have. But the important thing that was being discussed that day, did it proceed?
Yes, it proceeded as if there was
on an illegality.
Completely illegal.
Yes. So this is the thing here. Yes. So then why do things like that continue to happen? Because one would have said, if you stood on point of order and if you stood on business to say that this is actually not allowed constitutionally, we cannot be having a discussion of such national importance where, number one, you do not have quorum. Number two, you've gone against the rules of the House. But still, this conversation has passed as though there were quorum, and a substantive decision that was going to affect the country has then been made. Who's to answer to that?
That's what I'm saying. The question was about the speaker, and personally, I went straight for the deputy speaker because the deputy speaker has severally demonstrated outrageous decisions.
Yeah.
And but the speaker may make mistakes, but he is also sly, so he will not make it too obvious and too open. But clearly, all speakers will always be aligned to the side where they got their votes from. That's to be seen. I think there is also this issue of. It's a complicated thing. When you want to be speaker, the people that elect you are members of parliament. So ideally, you will find that the minority, and that in this case, even though we were a majority at the beginning, physically now we are minority because a lot of members have jumped ship and gone to the other side. But Azimio would be is basically minority when we started conducting business. At the election, we were majority. Members defected, others went, without doing it officially. So during the elections for the speaker, the Azimio brigade had a candidate in the person of former Speaker Marende.
Yes.
And the team of Kenya Kwanza had a candidate in the person of Moses Masika Wetangula. So basically, ideally, the people that made him speaker are the ones on the side of the majority now. And that is the UDA brigade, Ford Kenya, all those parties. And Wiper, ODM didn't vote for him. So naturally, as a human being, you would, when you're seated at that chair, and you're looking at a situation that would favor a Wiper member against a UDA member, there's a possibility that.
But Robert, you see,
we also have to be
realistic.
But Robert, when you talk about the infrastructure fund that was being discussed, or the sale of KPC, right? And there was no quorum. That means there was no way that matter would proceed for it even to be okayed because it's an illegality. So here now, one would say one can go to court on a technicality because the process within which that the sale of KPC went through was illegal because there was no quorum in house. And now that we find ourselves here, does Parliament, does the Speaker care about the process that ends up with acts of Parliament, with decisions in Parliament, because the process should determine the end?
Let me tell you something very interesting. Even if you go to court, the court has no eyes in the house.
Wow.
So the only thing the court would use is what we call the Hansard.
Hansard, yes.
And Hansard is a verbal, the verbal communication.
Yes.
Now, since I was not given the opportunity to raise the matter of quorum, if you look at the Hansard at that time, there is no mention that there was no quorum, because the speaker never gave me that opportunity.
Oh my gosh, okay.
The only thing that will be there is that, you have attempted to take the mace and I'm sending you away from the house. That will be on Hansard. But the reason why is not on Hansard. So even if you go to court now, that it will be your word against. So it's a very complex thing, because how do you prove there was no quorum other than when a member stands up and says there is no quorum?
That's very interesting.
So that's a problem we face.
That's very interesting. But I think so. If you give rise to that, and then just coming through this whole conversation, I'm reminded of a court case, a very famous one that happened in this country, whereby two men had been accused and went through the charges and went through a trial over a gang rape of a woman. But on the court record, where the list of witnesses and all of this had been put down for the charge sheet, there was no signature by the court clerk. So they went through all the evidence sharing, all the evidentiary responsibility was given, but the judge had to dismiss the case based on the fact that that sheet had not been signed.
Yeah.
So here we are saying that, and then they was dismissed.
Yeah.
Leave alone what happened later on, but on that alone, that we are saying something like the divestiture of a public entity is being discussed on no quorum, which is a prerequisite for such things, doesn't happen. So then one is meant to ask, how many things then slip under the door that are not actually on the record? If such a thing in the public glare can happen, and you tell yourself that there's an oversight body, a representative body, a budget-making body, how many things could actually be lurking in the shadows that are actually sending Kenyans to their knees on a regular basis?
You know, there are many. I will even tell you that, our Constitution, Article 115, gives the president some kind of power when it comes to the law. The power to assent to bills, and so that they become acts of parliament. If he doesn't do anything within 2 weeks, they become law. But if he expresses any reservations, for Parliament to be able to ignore his reservations, they would require 2/3. So there's some power given to the president. Now, what the presidents have always done, and not just this one, even from the time we started the implementation of this constitution in 2013, the president would not express reservations, but they would give an amendment. They would give a bill with an amendment. You know, amending the bill is a responsibility of Parliament.
Parliament, yes.
The law states that they can return the bill and express their, if they have some reservations, some dissatisfaction, they can say, I'm uncomfortable with this, so that we as a house can address it and decide how would we amend it. But we have always received amendments, and you know what? To overturn the amendment, you require 2/3. So what, in my opinion, that's an illegality by itself, because the president cannot legislate. But they have always legislated. They bring that bill. You can change figures. Like, let's say you can change figures on the finance bill. The president can return them to what he wanted and say and return them. Yes, as it is. And if you don't raise 2/3, that's it. It becomes law. I mean, so it's a very difficult situation we are in. I think that's why we require decency and leaders that that are decent enough to be able to do a good job.
Indeed.
The kind of leadership we have now of insults and that's not helping the country at all, and that's not giving us confidence that we are going in the right direction. Because at the end of the day, I mean, whether we like each other or don't like each other, we must know that we have a country to run.
Absolutely.
And we must respect the law that is there. And everybody must respect each other. If the insults are coming from none other than the president, how then do we run this country?
One of the things that you have said this morning is that you actually need to look at the person who you've elected to represent you and see what it is that they've done. Somebody suggested the other day that you actually should have people stand on business, literally, and show you what they've actually done.
Oh, yes.
Robert Mbui is the Member of Parliament for Kathiani constituency, also the Deputy Minority Leader. Thank you for being here with us this morning, opening our eyes to certain insights. We look forward to some more conversations in the future.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Good morning, 8 a.m.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the News Wire. I'm Lao Obaga. The interviewing of candidates for the Supreme Court judge position will continue today at the High Court in Nairobi. Those to be interviewed before the Judicial Service Commission are Court of Appeal judges Mohamed Warsame and Francis Toyot. During the interview yesterday, Court of Appeal Judge Katwe Kigen defended his past relationship with President William Ruto, where he once defended him in a case of crimes against humanity at the International Criminal Court, as well as in the 2022 elections, maintaining that he will not show bias when appointed as a Supreme Court judge. He has also addressed the fears of some Kenyans about the possibility of bias in the 2027 presidential election cases that may involve President Ruto, saying he'll use evidence and the law to decide the case.
Judge Kigen, there are concerns expressed by a section of Kenyans.
Yes.
As regards your suitability for the position of a Supreme Court judge.
Okay, so first of all, it is true I have represented him. May I say that I intend to be as objective and neutral in my discharge of my functions as a judge. And so the fear is well, I can't say it is ill-informed. I can understand their concerns, but I just want to give the assurance that I would be fair and I would only deal with facts and the law.
Others interviewed yesterday were High Court Judge Joseph Sergon and former chairperson of the Police Appraisal the Police Authority, that is IPOA, Anne Makuri. The JSC aims to fill the vacancy left by former Supreme Court Judge Mohammed Ibrahim, who died in December. Now, the successful candidate will serve until he reaches the mandatory retirement age of 70, with an option for early retirement at 65. A large number of youth turned out at voter registration centres across the country as the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission completed the CVR exercise yesterday. According to the IEBC, the turnout reflected a significant increase in voter registration across the country in recent days, with the Commission revealing that it has registered 1,867,274 new voters since the exercise began on March 30th this year. IEBC data shows that the Commission has achieved 75% of its target of registering 2.5 million new voters. The data shows that Nairobi County leads in new registrations with 209,965 new voters, followed by Kiambu, which recorded 97,557 new voters, and Nakuru. In the Western region, Kakamega and Bungoma counties registered the highest number of voters compared to other counties. In addition, Lamu recorded the lowest number of voters with only 8,043 people showing up for registration. Low registration numbers were also reported in Isiolo and Mandera counties. And finally, in the international scene, global action against viral hepatitis has yielded tangible progress, yet the current progress is still falling short of the 2030 elimination targets. The World Health Organization said in its latest Global Hepatitis Report 2026, released Tuesday at the World Hepatitis Summit. The report confirmed that hepatitis B virus and hepatitis C virus, together responsible for 95% of viral hepatitis deaths globally, claimed 1.34 million lives in 2024. Of these fatalities, 1.1 million were attributed to HBV and 240,000 to HCV, mostly resulting from liver cirrhosis and cancer. That's the News Wire. I'm Leah Obaga.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
I am also a publicly elected official. Okay. My salary is paid by your taxes.
Yes.
So if you need me to answer questions, we will not run away from you.
Asante.
We will always be here.
The government itself is engaging in corrupt practices. That the government itself deliberately schemes to influence through bribery members of parliament.
You pay for a passport online. Alafu you're told there are no booklets.
I rebuke matters corruption, because corruption has brought this country to its knees.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
Members of parliament, they go to set house, they just promised they get given tea, mandazi, and 100,000. That's not development.
External borrowing, 589 billion. Are we on the same page? What did parliament pass?
If anything happened to our president today, God forbid, that man would become president. Na ndio alilenga hizo stories za Shakahola.
The real thing is our constitution has only one person who is accountable to us.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
Baba should disown these experts and say they went there on the, because he keep on telling us that these experts just you came from Dubai and you found them they're already at State House looking for jobs.
Government has to has to introduce austerity measures. It's something that this government and the previous ones have not been able to do in this country. We've talked about it so many times.
And really, I think you have seen the modus operandi of William Samoei Ruto since he came in. It's just showbiz.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Good morning. We are now at 8 minutes after 8 o'clock and we're tuning in now. You're tuning in rather as we get into the second hour of a conversation. Let me tell you that the conversation already started when we were off air and we're getting into it this morning. The headline on The Nation today talks about one of the issues that we're getting into today, and the state's shocking admission on CBE is a list of many things that we're going to get through. Janet Okoh is here with us in the studio. And we're getting into, just to remind you that even as we talk this morning, it is because we are looking towards solutions. Something has got to give at some point, but in order to look to the solution, sometimes you have to point out what the issues are. She's executive director of the Tunza Mtoto Coalition and joins us in the hot seat of the Situation Room this morning. Good morning, Janet.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay, how are you?
For now. I'm fine.
All right.
How are you guys?
Good.
We're doing okay. Yeah, we're doing fine.
Under the circumstances.
Under the circumstances,
Yes.
yeah, everyone has to just fake a nice face and we soldier on.
Indeed. The state of education is what we're looking at today. We're going to get into it in just a minute, but Dennis would like to share today's proverb.
Okay.
Equatorial Guinea is where we are. The president has been in office since 1979, 47 years. A country rich in oil reserves but ships it out. Another African story. Buys it expensive because we're not processing. But in terms of diplomatic circles, they speak three languages. So Spain, Spanish, they speak French and Portuguese. So the citizens of the country in diplomatic circles, because they speak different languages, they perform better. But let's go to the proverb. A lie may run, but it never outruns the truth. How would you interpret it?
What criteria did you use to select that proverb? Because we are right here. You know, I carried with myself the fee structures for schools as a way of evidence that there's a certain lie that has been told that we have sent money to schools. But like you're saying, you said the lie can travel,
can run, but can never outrun the truth.
Can never outrun the truth. I have said severally. You can lie about so many things. You can lie about agriculture because the rain will rain and then you will take credit and you will say the way you've done so many great
things. We prayed for rain.
But in education, you cannot lie because we will have the evidence. Children will be at home. That is evidence that money has not been paid to schools. It is the evidence that we are not running free education. That is evidence that you need. And you will have parents complaining like they are doing now. So can we marry the two things? That the government says we have sent money to schools. Every child is supposed to be in school, but every child is at home. So,
okay. The truth will come out.
The truth has come out.
All right. Well, okay, so where we are going to start from this morning is that there are many things, there are many balls up in the air at the moment. Looking into the state of education, let's look at what we know and then let's see if we can find some direction. Teachers have said that, and it's not separate, it's part of the whole thing. Teachers have said this SHA thing that you've told us to move to is not working for us. There are only certain hospitals that we can go to, and even when we go to those hospitals, the services that we used to get before we are not getting. So because of that, if you don't fix this thing, we are not doing what? We are not teaching. That's yet to be sorted out. They said, okay, come, let's have a conversation. Some representatives spoke on their behalf. They said, nah. Whatever conversation you guys had in there, it doesn't involve us. So fix this thing or we will down our tools. Still other teachers, the GS JSS teachers who've been searching for autonomy for the longest time have said, you know what, you have forced us to teach JSS in primary schools. Okay, then give us some kind of autonomy in terms of how we're going to deliver this knowledge and education. You've refused. So they've also said, okay, we also, if you don't allow us to move in a certain direction, we're not coming.
And give us our contracts as well.
And give us our contract. That one is even separate.
Yeah.
44,000 intern teachers have said, excuse me, we have been interns for this period of time. Give us our contracts, or us as well. We will not do what? We will not teach. Remember, the 44,000 is part of the 100,000 that have been hired. Now, it still goes on. Capitation, like you alluded to, for the second term, yet to reach schools. Don't know where in the pipeline this all is. The 23 billion shillings that we have been told. Where is it? If you sent it, it must land somewhere. Even if it takes 2 weeks, I know that. It must land somewhere at some point. That's on the list. And then the state has shocked all of us and has said that nearly 3 out of 4 grade 3 learners cannot perform basic mathematics. Now, you see, with all of these things, teachers striking, you've done the first term of 2026, but grade 3, these children are 7, 8 years old. Grade 3? Yes, 9 years old, okay? Cannot perform basic mathematics, according to a report by the Kenyan National Examinations Council, the ones who set papers, which also reveals more than half are struggling with basic English literacy. These findings by the state agency mirror civil society reports and raise fresh concerns about the state of foundational learning under the competency-based education system. I could give you the numbers, but I might dull your shine even more this morning. The state of education doesn't look really good. Let's go into some of those things this morning, Janet. What is going on?
There are so many things that you have mentioned.
I know, and I've not even finished, but that's why I said, let me stop there.
The list is so long. And it is a worrying place that we find ourselves, because when we are discussing education so casually, and I've sat here many times and I have said that there is somebody bearing the consequences. That person bearing the consequences are this child who we have now been told that they are at grade 3 and 4, but they cannot perform basic literacy and numeracy tasks. What does that mean to the listener who is listening this morning? Is that child's academic journey is condemned. Because imagine if they are at grade 3 and they cannot read or write, they cannot recognize this is letter Q, or, I'm just trying to break it so down, because I know, and I've received a lot of texts from parents who are listening, who are tuned in. And if that child is at grade 3 and they cannot be able to perform those basic, so how do you expect them to go to 4th grade and 5th grade and 6th grade? These are the children who will just be defeated, and we will condemn them and call them intellectually challenged. Now, that child will live with those consequences for the rest of their lives. Now, maybe we will come to discuss about the quality of education much later. But let us discuss how access issues affect quality issues. For the government's failure to make sure that every child is in school when they are supposed to be in school, so that if a child skips 3 weeks because they've been sent away for this levy or the other, they have skipped 3 weeks, 2 weeks of learning, or even 2 days of learning. By the time they go back, the teacher will not even recap.
No.
So I'm just showing you how access issues affect quality issues. So when we are sitting here and saying, please, the government, this thing that you stand on rooftops of cars and lie to us that you have sent capitation to schools, but in the real sense, that is not what is happening. Please know that you are affecting children in ways that are irreversible. And that is why I've always come to this conclusion that for us to take education back, because now this is a struggle, it's a struggle of our life, that we must get education back to where it was. So let us find out, how do we take education back to where it used to be? Because there's a time in this country for about 8 years we have enjoyed some sort of normalcy, some sort of progress, so that we are saying we are doing a little better, in primary school. We now want to do something in secondary school. We even go to a place where we said this curriculum called 844 is not good for the quality of education that we are competing with our peers, around the region, in Africa, and even globally. We even had time to relook at the curriculum and change it. That's how we were making progress. Now, maybe we will come to that a little more deeper, but I want to address the question that you asked first, and it was about SHA. And I have longed that one day you don't call me, you just replay the clips that we have played here, for you to just see that these were prophecies. Yeah. And I said here, the day when teachers went to State House, thousands of them,
yes,
and there was a big sherehe and hula baloo, and and they were admitted to SHA. I said the following day, because I came here, that the best thing that has happened to SHA is teachers being admitted to that thing called SHA, because teachers are not your ordinary Kenyans. Teachers are very empowered. Teachers have unions that are very strong. Leave alone the leadership of the union. They might betray people, because we have seen them saying this. The teachers themselves are so empowered. And I said here, probably this is what God wanted for this nation, for teachers to get into SHA so that they can speak on behalf of every Kenyan, because every other Kenyan cannot be able to speak. I mean, a boda person who has enrolled in SHA goes to a hospital and they're not treated. A county worker, a county staff member, was telling me the other day that I went to the hospital and they're telling me I can only access 1,200, and I'm like, 1,200 in the face of what I am going through? What is that? They'd rather not even send anything at all. Don't forget that I have been deducted faithfully for that SHA. But this is what I am saying. The teachers are the best thing that ever happened to SHA. Yeah. If there is anybody who will cause that SHA to be changed, it's teachers. And I am urging them on. Because you cannot, you can lie to people, but not everybody. This one now, you cannot lie to teachers. Yeah. They are going to the hospital in numbers, and they are telling us, and they are giving us feedback that has been given by one person in Kajiado, one person where, and they were told, shut up. You are enemies of progress. You don't know what you're doing. Mtaki maendeleo. And all right, sit back, relax, and enjoy, and receive feedback from teachers, because I bet you they will not open school, and I'm in support. Because you cannot tell teachers to teach when they are sick. True. You have deducted them money. You removed them from where they were. At least they were feeling comfortable where they were. You removed them for reasons best known to you, not known to them. Don't forget that it is their money. They're the ones being deducted. So teachers should sit at the central table and make decisions for their health. It is not profiteers and businessmen and women sitting together at a table and deciding that this is what is good for you. And you have no space to tell them, no, I am the one experiencing it. Listen, guys, I am the one who is going to the hospital. I am the one who is sick.
Right.
I am the one who is assessing this product that you are giving me. And I am telling you, it is substandard. You cannot insist. So me, this morning, I'm very happy, because the teachers are what will revolutionize this thing called SHA.
Yeah. Janet, even as we talk about SHA, for a very long time, Kenyans have been raising issues about SHA, right? For a very long time, but no one has been listening. Rather, they've been listening but not doing anything. Now we see teachers getting in, and teachers are comparing their previous cover with the cover they have, and they say, whatever we're using right now at SHA is not as comprehensive as what was there before. The services we're not getting. And this is the feedback. But the powers that be knew very well their problems with SHA. They knew very well what they're getting teachers into. But do they care, Janet?
And that's what I'm saying, that teachers are everything this country needed to get into SHA. Now they are inside SHA. So what every other worker would do is to follow suit. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. See how teachers are negotiating themselves. If they negotiate out of SHA, so why would anybody else? Why would everybody else? And I think that we have to get to a situation and tell the president, because I know he has received all this feedback. Like, hey, dude, everything is not about business. Not everything is about business. This is somebody's health. They are telling you, I am the one paying for it.
Yeah.
I don't want this product that you are giving me. What is this dictatorship about? Unless there is, of course, I know there is a lot of profit involved, but we are saying we are supporting the teachers, and we are telling the teachers, this is your right, this is your health. Please pursue it with everything that you have, because if you die, I am telling you, William Ruto will go on with his business. He will go on with his business. So let us make sure that teachers of this country are treated in the manner that they want. And there's something that we have seen with this government. You call a section of a few. You call the leaders, and you probably, of course, I know you loop them in the business. So the leaders, the union leaders, can you believe, they're on one end saying, this is a very good cover. But the users, the members who you should represent, is the same thing as what we saw in Parliament. That we told our members of Parliament, we do not want that finance bill. We are the people that elected you. I give an example of Kasarani, because I come from Kasarani, and I know. People participated, even in WhatsApp pages.
Yeah.
In one of the pages, they even added the member of Parliament. And they told him, we have added you here so that we can give you this feedback. Please, we are not in support of the finance bill. So let me ask him, when he went and voted for it, who was he representing? Who was he representing? We have evidence that we actually called you, even phone calls, and told you, no, we do not want this finance bill. But they went ahead and did what? Against the representative, the people they are representing. This is the same thing that is happening with the teachers.
Teachers, yes.
That their own union is seemingly, like, this is a good thing. But the people who elected you are telling you, no, it is not a good thing. But because there has been a transaction, money has changed hands. So everyone should die because you got money into your pocket. This is not about teachers only. It is about the teachers' children of teachers.
Yes.
It's about their spouses. It's about families. It's bigger than the 200,000 teachers that we are talking about. It's about families. It's about the welfare of people. Teachers are looked up by so many people in the society. So it's really a big transaction. And that's why I said the best thing that ever happened to Shah was teachers getting it. Because they will ruga the thing, they will bring out everything. There is no way you cannot tell the teachers of this country to shut up. You cannot do that.
That's one group and you can't tell.
You cannot shut them up. You cannot shut teachers up.
So another thing that's going on, unfortunately, is that term one ended. I mean, look, and this is the thing. It will continue to play out. And just like you said, these are not the folks who are going to keep quiet about this thing. And they're not going to come and lie to you that it is working if it is not working. Especially because that there are other agents in this system with them, like you said, their parents, their immediate family members who are under the cover as well. So term one ended. Students came back from public schools with what is an invoice from schools, and we were shocked that for a lot of these schools, the school fees had doubled for term two. I'm not saying they added 2,000 shillings. I'm saying if term two fees was 15,000 shillings, it was now 30,000 shillings. And you don't have a choice at that point to pay if you're going to keep your student in school. If it was 18,000 shillings, it was now 37,700 shillings. I know this because I received such an invoice myself.
Okay.
The ministry had already told us very clearly that nobody is increasing school fees. This is the cap that you put, and that nobody can keep children out of school if they have not paid. Let's just see how we can balance the thing. None of those things are happening, Janet.
Yes.
So parents have gone back to school. Students have gone back to school with some parents not having paid fees, and they don't know how they're going to go about it. Why would the ministry say, well, this is the amount of fees that you should be paying? Children should not be chased away from school for lack of payment of school fees. We shouldn't see any kind of increment across board. But none of those things are happening. All of those things are in headwinds with one another. Why?
Now, and I said, and when I tell parents that this is a battle of our lifetimes, I mean exactly that. I have with me here a fee structure for Alliance Girls High School. And for the background, the ministry had released a circular when schools were opening. And the ministry said that C1 schools, which are the national schools, should charge 53,000 per year. That is the policy of the Ministry of Education. This is a fee structure from Alliance Girls High School. Term one. And you see, by the time a school has the audacity to release a fee structure, they are not afraid of anything. No, they're not afraid of anything, and they know that even the Minister for Education cannot query them, because both of them know that the government has not sent money to schools. So how do they expect schools to cooperate? To run. So in this fee structure, term 1 in Alliance Girls, the fee is 53,491.
The annual fee.
The entire annual fee now has been narrowed down by Alliance Girls to be 53,000
for term 1.
For term 1. For term 2, the school fees is 32,947, and for term 3 is 23,741, bringing it to a total of 110,179. Now, be that as it may, why would the government lie to parents that the fees to be paid in C1 schools? I've selected Alliance because it's a C1,
national school,
national school that so many people would relate with. And the fees is 110, and the government is saying the fees is 53,000. Alliance is charging double that amount without fear. Without fear.
Well, because they know that the ministry has
this structure was issued to a parent. I have just barred the name of the learner. But this is a fee structure that the parent was issued with. So there is no fear anymore. I remember there's a time in this country where schools would not charge beyond 53,000. They would even tiptoe and call secret meetings. Because why? Because the ministry was in control. And for you to be in control, you must come with clean hands. He who comes to equity. For the ministry to be able to be hard on teachers, they must have performed their responsibility in the first place. But right now, there is no moral ground that the Cabinet Secretary for Education can stand on to query principals. But why are you charging? Because this is the clearest indication. We were looking for evidence. Because every time we say that money has not been sent to schools, we get the lie of all times. I think it was last week.
Yes.
The president of this country said, money has been sent to schools. Has been sent means past tense. For those who attended grammar schools, means past tense. 2 days later, the PS for Education, appearing before a committee, said money will be sent.
Future.
This is future. So between the president and the PS, who is sending money? Because the president seems to have sent money. Money has been sent to schools. But the PS is saying, as we sit here, the money is being sent to schools. I don't know whether that is past participle or whatever.
Present continuous.
It is present continuous. But to date, there is no indication that that money has... I don't know whether it is working. I do not know. You cannot manage education by lying. You cannot manage education by lying. Because these are the consequences of lying. Yes, you cannot... the ministry today cannot enforce its directives. Why? Because it has lost the moral ground. You want to ask, you want to quarrel a principal of Alliance Girls?
Yeah.
They will tell you,
take your child away.
Take your child away. Because those schools are managed by the BOMs. And the BOMs have sat, and they're the ones who know too well the consequences of having children here and having no money. Now, this is only, and the trend is the same. I also have one for Limuru Girls. And Limuru Girls is charging an annual fee of about 83,000 and some hundreds. 83,000 and some hundreds.
Yeah.
Now, the second issue about this thing is, forget about that they are blatantly flouting the ministry's direction. Now, look at it this way. So why would Alliance be charging 110 and Limuru Girls here charging 83,000? That's a difference of close to 30,000, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Is it 30,000?
Yes, it is.
So where is the controls? Where is the control? Because all of you meet in the same market. If it's about buying boga, all of you meet in Markiti. All of you are buying electricity from Kenya Power. And these are the things that we discussed way in 2013 when we sat at a task force that was headed by Kilemi Mwiria, when school fees in this country was these figures that we are now talking about. And we sat down and we asked the principals, you guys, can you project to us? Because when one school will be charging 110, the other one is charging 83, the other one is charging 50, the other one is charging 60, that shows you clearly that the ministry is not in control. And that's what we did that time. We sat down and we calculated. It was a very scientific, and thorough process that involved teachers. Teachers were on the table. Parents were on the table. The civil society was on the table. Because when we talk about 110, I know for sure these fee structures have been brought to me by parents. This is a child who is waiting for me at home. And she's telling me, Mheshimiwa, I cannot be able. And I know the parents. I know them so well. They cannot be able. What we are asking of government is, okay, fair. You have decided to direct all your money to moribund motivation or they're called what? Empowerment programs. Yes. It is okay. But can you, control policy? Can you control policy? So that as we wait to put in a government that will care about education, for this 1.3 years, children do not drop out. At least the person who comes after you will not struggle so much, What happened to controlling? What happened to finding out? We issued a policy. Was the policy issued for the sake of it? Are we saying the ministry is a busybody that is just sending policy for the sake of sending policy? Or was it meant to be effective? Because if it was meant to be effective, this is the evidence.
So can we see a direct connection between the lack of sending of capitation, like you mentioned, because that's what it is. When the ministry says we're going to send 23 billion, that's capitation money that's going to schools, right?
Yes.
Can we see a connection between this delay, and it's not a 2026 delay, we're talking about years and years of delay of capitation for which there were lines, budget lines at different schools so that this money could come in to do those things. It didn't happen. So there's money needed to fill those gaps. Are we saying, like now, the increase in fees for which people are told you will pay, or you take your child home, is directly linked to the delay in capitation funding?
Yes, because the 22,000 per child,
which is now 16.
I have never admitted that it is 16 because I refuse to admit that it is 16.
My sister is 16.
No, I refuse to admit that it is. You know why I refuse to admit that it is 16? Because the president of this country has insisted in speeches that it is 22. Who am I to believe that it is 16? I'm not going to do that. Because lifting that money from 16 to 22 will again take us a lot of we don't want. We are not taking ourselves back to where we came from. We are insisting that it is 22.
Okay.
And that 22 was based on certain vote heads. That 22 was divided across vote heads. So when you do not send it, those activities are still running in the school. And that's why you're seeing teachers, the heads of schools, offloading that to the parent because the government has refused to pay. Even that you're 16, that I don't want to associate myself with, that you're 16, it is not being sent. Okay, you reduced it from 22. You have still lied to us that you have not reduced. It is 16. You will still not send even that 16. So what exactly are we looking at? We are looking at an irredeemable president who is not interested in long-term gains.
Allow me to throw something else here.
He cannot believe that you can invest billions of shillings where there are no kickbacks. He cannot believe that. He cannot wait to invest in children and harvest in 10 years. He's an impatient person. And he cannot believe in education, notwithstanding that he himself rose through the ranks, through the generosity and through the faithfulness and fidelity of presidents that served during his term. He has proudly told us that he's a hustler. Can he explain to us how he paid his school fees? If we had greedy presidents like him, who served when he was a child, would he have managed? Would he have become what he is today? We have stopped having conversations with somebody who is killing the dreams of children. Today, I have a list of grade 10 children. Grade 10? Grade 10 children who did not show up for first term. The entire first term, children are at home. It is not funny. It's a matter that causes all of us to be angry. And we must be angry for these children. Why is the president so hell-bent on destroying education and health.
Janet, I wanted to take a break and then you can come back. I want to understand, and I know Dennis has a question as well, why these children didn't go to school. It might sound obvious, but I want to hear that if we're going to the second term, why did grade 10s, and we're talking about hundreds of thousands around the country, maybe we have forgotten, but that was the number. At some point, it was 700,000. It reduced to about 400,000. Even 10,000 grade 10 students not appearing to school
At all.
is a huge number.
One child
not going.
One child means everything to us.
Indeed. Let's take a break. We're going to come back and continue with this discussion. I want to understand why this has happened, and we're looking at it in the face. We're staring at this catastrophe. What's going to be done about it? We'll be back in a minute. Don't go away.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Traffic.
All right, taking a look at what traffic looks like right now on the roads. If you are coming in from the Thika Superhighway, getting then towards Moranga Road, then you're stuck with that traffic. I'm sorry, guys. It's very busy this morning. And it's dark out. It looks like 6 a.m., but we're crawling on 9. Very heavy traffic this morning on Mombasa Road, and it's starting all the way from before Cabanas today. That's trickling along very slowly. Inbound traffic very heavy. Also heavy on Langata Road this morning. It's going to level off towards Raila Odinga Way, but the rest of that is going to find its way onto Aerodrome Road, connecting then with Bunyala Road out towards Haile Selassie. Busy. Folks who are coming off the Thika Superhighway trying to find some reprieve on Wangari Maathai, but then you're stuck. I'm sorry. Getting onto Chiroma as well. Busy. The Red Hill Link Road is an absolute mess. Trying to then connect Peponi on one side, Limuru Road on the other. Doesn't matter where you are this morning, there is traffic. It is slow, it is raining, and some parts of the roads are flooded. I'm sorry, guys. Be careful where you are. Go a little bit slower if you must. Arrive safe. Let's talk. If you find an alternate route where folks can use shout out, we'll shout. SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
School is out and the fun is in. Feast your eyes and your kids' hearts on a feast like no other with StarTimes. Recharge your monthly subscription today and get upgraded to the next high bouquet for 1 full month. Turn your home into a world of adventure with Bluey on CBeebies, playful giggles on Baby TV and Jim Jam, learning that feels like play on Mindset Learn, non-stop action with the Batman on Toonami and the Powerpuff Girls on Boing, endless fun with SpongeBob on ST Kids, and thrilling wins with Super Strikers on ST Tunes. Unlock your upgrade today. Simply renew your subscription on your current bouquet and we'll automatically move you to the next high bouquet for 30 days. Dial *858# or call us on 0719 077 077 for customer care. Download the StarTimes on app to take the fun wherever you go. StarTimes. Enjoy digital life.
Vaccination is one of the most powerful ways to protect our children, our families, and our future. From birth, vaccines begin building a shield against dangerous diseases. The BCG vaccine protects against tuberculosis. Polio vaccine guards against polio. The pentavalent vaccine protects against diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, hepatitis B, and influenza. PCV protects against pneumonia. Rotavirus vaccine prevents severe diarrhea. Vitamin A strengthens the immune system. Measles rubella vaccine protects against measles and rubella. Yellow fever vaccine protects against yellow fever. And typhoid vaccine protects against typhoid. While the malaria vaccine helps reduce malaria in children. For adolescents, the HPV vaccine protects against cervical cancer. And the TD vaccine protects both mother and baby against tetanus and diphtheria. This World Immunization Week, remember, for every generation, vaccines work. Ensure your child and family receive all recommended vaccines on time. Vaccines are safe, effective, and available at your nearest health facility. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health and partners.
Online, mobile, and on radio. Twitter at SpiceFM KE. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It's 20 minutes to 9 o'clock. Our conversation continues this morning. Hundreds of thousands of grade 10 learners, and not just grade 10s, other students who didn't make it into school last term. Janet Okoh's here with us this morning. Just Dennis coming in a bit. But why? What's the reason? Are we looking at monetary reasons as to why these students did not make it into school? Janet?
You know, we have said this time without number that the biggest barrier to education globally is levies. It is not unwanted pregnancies. It is not disease. It is not whatever else that anyone may want to convey. It is not hunger. It is not even hunger. It is not even emergencies. It is levies the world over. And that is why we are talking about 2026 right now. Are we in 2026? 26 today.
Yes.
We were having these conversations in the year 2000. In the year 1998 in Jomtien, Thailand. We were having these conversations in the year 2000 in Dakar, Senegal. That the biggest barriers to education is levies. And that is where governments agreed to enforce free education. And that is why we have Mwai Kibaki as our hero. Because he made a decision that many presidents cannot make. And especially presidents who look at public funds for gain, you know. They cannot invest in education. They cannot be patient enough to invest in education because you must be patient. And we have, the good thing is that we have lived the full cycle.
Yeah.
We have lived here when we have seen Gen Zs making this country proud.
Yeah.
And what did we all associate it to? Free education.
Free education.
In the younger generation, it is very hard for you to come across a child who did not go through to Form 4.
Yeah.
During when I was raising my children, it was very, very hard to get a nanny because all of them were in school. Yet, there were some years when girls were readily available. They've dropped out at class 6. They've dropped my own age mates. And I like saying this with a lot of humility. I went to school when we were about 87 at class 8. And I can tell you, it's barely about 13 or 14 that went to secondary school. Out of those 87, during my time when I was doing class 8, all those others did not go to school. Why? Because there was no free secondary education. There were fees. Pursuant. Why did my age mates? At least I was lucky because my father was a primary school teacher. He could afford to take me to school. But for those whose parents could not raise those school fees, they have lived with those consequences to date. And so, when we are discussing issues of education and people are thinking that we are emotional, we will tell you, no, we are not emotional. We will tell you, stop that insensitivity. Stop that greed. We are not asking you for favors. We are asking you, can you implement the constitution of this country? The constitution of this country, Article 43 and Article 53. Can you implement those articles of the constitution that gives every child a right to education? We went further as a country ourselves and said, no, just stopping at a right is not enough. We did the Basic Education Act that said you have a right, but it has to be compulsory. Compulsory means that we are taking affirmative action because we know in our midst, there is a parent who does not have 100 shillings in their pocket.
Yep.
That does not mean that their child does not have a right to education. Their child still has a right to education. That is why even a responsibility in the Basic Education Act is given to the chiefs. It is the responsibility of the chiefs to sweep all children who are not in school. Because collectively as a nation, we know not taking a child to school is harming us as a nation. You're giving us a very ignorant voter who will make bad decisions of voting bad leaders. And we will live with the consequences as a collective people. And that is why we are saying education is a right of every child. And we are not begging. And we cannot discuss with William Ruto. We know how he arranges his priorities. And we have seen his body language. And education is not his priority. But we are saying it is our country. It is our money. It is our taxes. And you are going to arrange those priorities according to how we want. Otherwise, we bless the Lord for an opportunity 5 years, every 5 years. Because in 2027, Kenyans and parents of this country and children also, because by the time he took power, there are children who are in grade 8. Now they are voters. Now those children are voters. And I want to plead with Kenyans that please, there are sectors that have suffered in our sight. There are sectors that have suffered in our sight. There are children who have fallen out of school when William Ruto ruled as president. Those children should sue. Their right to education is justiciable. But they don't have the wherewithal. You know, they cannot do anything. they will live with those consequences for the rest of their lives. And that is why we are saying we do not want things to get there. Because even 1.3 years that is remaining, so much can happen. We do not want to lose any more child. We do not want any other parent to be disheartened. We do not want households to feel the burden that they are feeling. Parents, I've received another fee structure still from Lenana School.
Okay.
Lenana School. To just corroborate what we were saying about Alliance Girls. And Lenana is charging a whooping 110,000 Kenya shillings to the parents against a government policy that is saying C1 schools such as Lenana will be charging 53,000.
53, yeah.
So we want to book a date. We want to book a date with the Minister for Education because we want him to explain to us with the aid of very well labeled diagrams how does a school charge 110 and you are telling parents that is 53,000.
53.
It's supposed to be. There's a conversation that must be had.
There is one that was had, a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago, that the ministry, again, who you want to go and visit, admitted that they do not know the cost of education. They don't know the unit cost of education from the time a child starts at the ECDC level to the time they're going to university. They don't know the unit cost of education. So if that's the case, how then is capitation set at that 22,400 shillings then applicable if you don't know how much it costs?
I will not even ask him how the 22,000 is applicable. It's very easy to say that we do not know the cost. But I just want to manage the ministers. Probably he's trying to he wants a PhD document. No, it is not a PhD document. I want to refer him to the Kilemi Mwiri report in a task force that I sat that tried to conceptualize and tried to understand some of these costings, and they came up with the 22,000, sort of saying, if government augmented what parents are paying by this amount, then the burden will be lighter on parents. And using 22,000, as it were, that time, we can run free day secondary education. For people who do not know the cost of education, so where are they coming from to reduce it from 22 to 16,000? If indeed it is not known by anybody, where is your background? Where are you coming from to say no? It is not 22. It is actually 16. So we have refused, and we refuse to have conversations that have been concluded by other governments that we have seen existed. We refuse to start afresh. And I have said this: we are not engaging the president based on the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto. No, it's a very inferior document. We are not engaging him based on the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto. We are only confining ourselves to the constitution of this country, which he swore to protect. The moment he stops protecting the constitution, he loses ground for continuing to become our president.
You see, Janet, education and lack of it, children don't access education because of what you've said is levies. But you go through budget cycles, and education was allocated 702.7 billion. So let me just break it down further. So 387 billion would go to TAC, free primary and secondary education, 58.9 billion. And here we are talking about that money that is meant for capitation not being there. Yet on a single day, the president stood and said Nairobi would be allocated 80 billion shillings. There's seemingly money for everything else.
Apart from?
But education. Which then brings me to the next question, where with all these budget making process and appropriation of budgets to specific budgets, is it just a ticket item? Or is it just that the government of Kenya does not value education for the children of the Republic?
The government of Kenya, there are certain admissions that I refuse to make. I refuse to make an admission to the effect that the government of Kenya does not value education. We will not even allow our neighbors to hear us saying that about ourselves. It is one person who has pretended, because he has seen different priorities. He knows very well that even if the billions that you're talking about, I do not send them to education, there will not be a consequence. There will not be a consequence. What consequence, for example, does William Ruto have right now that children are at home? What is the consequence? Zero. Because why? The following thing that he will do: he will collect parents of Kasarani, put them in one hall, bring mattresses, water tanks, What else are these
Teachers.
empowerment shenanigans? And every parent to walk home with 1,000 shillings. To him, that is more important. That is more strategic. To him, that lies to the people that I'm a president who listens to you. Vijana, vikundi ya vijana, mpate pikipiki. Can you stop giving youth a motorcycle? If you superintended over them when they were dropping out of school and you did not send the money that you were supposed to them, stop waiting for them at the junction with a motorbike. That is not empowerment. So what happens if you buy for every kijana motorbike? Watabeba nani? Right now, there's a crisis at every stage. At every stage, there are more motorbikes than the passengers that are supposed to be ferried. So the kind of economics that William Ruto is subjecting this country to is just unfortunate. And I have always wanted to tell the president, please, I know that you believe in education. Because I interacted with the president when he was the Minister for Higher Education.
Yes.
Yes. And when we were discussing Vision 2030, I give this example because I saw him. I sat in the hall. For the records, the NGO that time I was a CEO of was the one that had funded that meeting where we were discussing Vision 2030. And that time, Mwai Kibaki was the CEO. And the president was the chief guest. And we were discussing Vision 2030. I have never forgotten his words, how he was saying the central role of education in transforming this country to a middle-income economy. Where has that gone to? So we're dealing with someone who knows what is supposed to be done. But out of bad will and bad faith, he is deciding. You said 80 million for what?
Nairobi. Well,
80 billion for Nairobi.
80 billion for Nairobi is more important to him. And he does not want to pass that money through the systemic. There is the county assembly of Nairobi, that probably will tell him, no, we have better priority. We have, because the MCAs are the ones that really interface with people on the ground. They would say, we think that level 4, the maternity hospital in Ruai requires a bed, requires this, requires this. So he doesn't want to engage Kenyans through the systemic ways of doing things. So when Nairobi will be brought for 80 billion, probably the 30 billion is what will hit the road for Nairobi, and 50 billion will be unaccounted for. And this is not how we had imagined that our country would one day be run. This is not how we had actually imagined. You cannot come from 2000, when we are saying all children are in school, to 2026, when we are counting the children who are in school. We cannot. It is an unacceptable state of affairs, and Kenyans must rise. And if for nothing else, Kenyans must defend their right to education. And there is only one way to defend the right to education. We have known we cannot discuss education in isolation. We cannot sit here and discuss education in isolation, because we have seen how bad presidents affect education.
Right, and
so we have to discuss it in the global perspective of reforming our country. We want leaders that believe in the constitution and in the right to education of our children.
So over the last 6 years, capitation has delayed. We looked at a period between 2024 going backwards to 2019, where already there was a 64 billion shilling bill. That was the amount of capitation that had not been sent to schools by the end of 2024. So add 2025, add now where we are in the second term. So interesting enough, first term capitation was sent on time, even before schools opened first term. And we thought, perhaps this is the year of our Lord. And 2026 would be different. But then now we are here getting into second term, and that hasn't happened just yet. What happens to the money that doesn't go to capitation? Because you know what? You still owe them. If you paid less, this still 22,000, less 7,000, and then less another 3,000, you still ended up paying them just 11,000 shillings in capitation. You ended up sending 11,000 shillings per child in capitation. This is now, we're just talking about secondary, right? If you didn't send that money, what happens? This is two blocks of money. The money that gets into the budget basket is money that comes from revenue, taxes, and then money that comes from borrowing. So if money has come, if it comes eventually, so because we've said that budget has been fulfilled, isn't it? that at the end of the financial year in Kenya, the fiscal year budget has been fulfilled. Because budget is not just saying where is it going to come from. It's actually looking at the spending process, appropriating all of that spend, and we say, okay, this is what the audit report looks like. That's why these two offices are working together. Now, if you say that the budget for education was 702 billion, all of these boxes should have been filled. At the end of the period, we know that there's certain money you have not sent, but your budget has been filled. Where does that money go? Who accounts for that money and says, yes, we still owe you 11,000 shillings in capitation between 2024 and 2026, but that money has come in and Kenyans are paying it back in tax? Where is that money?
Unfortunately, I'm not a member.
Or do they give? I know, but do they? We can wonder together here. Does it come back? Is it in a kitty somewhere and they say, okay, come 20, we'll give it? What happens?
You see, the problem is not even the Ministry of Education, because sometimes you would even sympathize with the Cabinet Secretary for Education, because they have written down their requirements for the sector, and it goes through Parliament, and Parliament is one that appropriates. So these questions, it's unfortunate that we are asking them in this setup, and they have not been asked in the correct forum. And the correct forum is Parliament. So when I see a member of Parliament in a matanga telling us the way money for education has not been sent, I'm like, shut up. Can you go and ask those questions where it matters the most? So what are you telling people in a matanga that money has been sent so they do? And I listened
also
to the conversation that you were having the first hour when you were discussing about Parliament. And it's unfortunate. And it is unfortunate because where are these accountabilities? How don't we know? How Parliament passes the law, which is the appropriations, that this money was supposed to be spent this way, this money was supposed to be shared this way. So midway, money for education has not been sent, but there is monies for everything else. The 80 billion that you're saying for Nairobi, there is monies for empowerment. There is money. So the problem that we have, and I hope that Kenyans are learning from this, is that Parliament is our shield. It is supposed to be our shield. Before a greedy president who does not respect the constitution hits Mwananchi, he ought to find a very strong buffer here.
In Parliament.
In Parliament. Pushing him away. That is why they're called oversight. But what kind of oversight are we having right now? Because the same money has been used to buy Parliament. It has bought the members of Parliament. This is how come a summon by the president to members of Parliament is more important than a summon by the people who voted for them. We have the evidence. We told them, do not pass the finance bill. Because why? You're robbing us of disposable income. But a summon by the president is more important to them. Why? You know, the why is so clear. Because the president will not vote for you. The president cannot vote for a member of Parliament. True. The president cannot fire. He cannot fire a member of Parliament. He cannot. He does not have that kind of ability. So Kenyans must investigate. What is this that makes the president be listened to by the members of Parliament? It is because this administration has destroyed all systems. I listened to members of Parliament telling us that, you know, we have to go to the president's party so that you can get development. Hogwash.
On Hogwash, let's take a break. It's 9 a.m. We continue with this conversation because then moving forward, where are we going? Where are we going? And we have to answer those questions. Morning, 9 a.m.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga. Employment agencies found violating employment laws will be stripped of their licenses. Speaking in Eldoret, the Secretary of the Department of Labour, Shadrach Mwadime, said that so far 600 organizations that were serving without permission have been cancelled, while the government continues to audit against organizations that violate employment regulations. Mwadime said that they're going to make sure that Kenyans live the right way.
For the period of time that I've been in the State Department of Labor and Social Protection, we have vetted all the recruitment agencies. Initially, we had about 1,200. We have reduced the number by 50%. We only have about 600 that we have allowed to do recruitment for jobs abroad. Up to March 31st, with effect from the beginning of this year, 2,508 workers have been involved in accidents. 111 of these accidents were fatal. All cases of workplace accidents and diseases have to be reported for ease of redress.
A family in Shinyalu, Kakamega County is living in fear after their 11-year-old son mysteriously disappeared. According to his mother, Sharon Jadevera, the little boy, Schneider Mohonja, a grade 8 student at St. Augustine Lubao School, went missing several days ago, with efforts to find him proving to be futile. The family is now appealing for help from the government and local residents to find their son, who is due to join his classmates at school for the second term.
Mtoto wangu alipotea, ilikuwa Friday, akitoka kwa mradi ya Compassion saa 10. Nimejaribu kutafuta, kuna watoto waliniambia walimuona akienda hiyo njia Ishikusa na wale hajaonekana. Yako na 13 years. Mimi ni mama yake Sharon. Penye utaona tu huyo mtoto, tafadhali naomba nisaidie huyo mtoto arudi. Niliripoti kwa polisi Lubao Jumapili. Mtoto alitoka tu salama akiniambia mama bye. Sijui nini liingie kwa huyo mtoto.
Nakuwa na wasiwasi kwa vile huyo mtoto alipotea on Friday na alitoka tu nyumbani akiwa salama, hakukuwako na shida yoyote.
Over 40,000 young people have been registered as voters in Trans Nzoia County in a new voter registration exercise that concluded yesterday. The electoral coordinator in the area, Patrick Wanyama, has indicated that Saboti Parliamentary constituency leads in the number of registered voters, followed by Ndembes, Cherengani, Kiminini and Kwanza constituencies.
We had a target of 45,507. Up to yesterday, we had registered 40,396 for Trans Nzoia County, translating to 88.7% of our target. The Saboti constituency has exceeded its target. They have registered 10,665, and that is around 107%. And the base is doing 97.6% at 5,646. Cherengani has done 90% of the target at 9,495. Then Kiminini has done 76%, 8,090%. And then Kwanza has done 75.1% at 6,500.
That's the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
Every time he kept on saying he wants a vibrant opposition.
How does it make sense that public money has been used for everything and then they dare to sell it back to you? Why are they not giving them for free?
That's how broken we are. That's how broken we are.
They are being sent home now for fees. They are going to fail to prepare. We are compromising the futures of these children.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Our conversations continue this morning. It's a minute past 9 o'clock. We spent a little bit more time on this conversation with Janet Okoh because can you imagine that in the last hour, when we've looked at the situation of education, we've talked about two issues. 3 maybe, that we've looked at teachers and the SHA issue. They contribute to this cycle of education. We've looked at the increment of school fees and talking about the fact that a lot of parents will not then be able to afford this in this term. And then we've also looked at capitation as reasons as to why this is continually late. And it's obvious that a handle on this has not been had for a long time, and that we are still in this mad cycle. Now, while all of this is going on, the degree of, because when we talk about teaching, we're talking about the transference of knowledge and the ability then for a child or a learner to understand from this transference. Now, even with all of those problems, unfortunately, this knowledge receptacle is not working. Because if you have this is the Usawa agenda did give us a report earlier that we were looking at students. This is not even this KNEC report. This was the Usawa agenda report on grade 6 learners who are not able to read and write, comprehension, not able to read and write. So even with all of those problems, then even the manner of teaching and how it is happening, the handle on knowledge and understanding is still a problem. I mean, honestly, how many problems can you have in just one sector? And then we also have to ask ourselves that this system around education, is it really working? I mean, there's the emotions and the sensitization. I do believe that when you see something going wrong, if you pretend like everything is okay and say it's going to get better tomorrow, you're part of the problem. That if you don't speak out about it and say, no, this has got to do better, we're actually forming part of the problem. But emotions and sensitivity aside, is this working for Kenya right now? Is it working? And if it's not, what can actually be done about it?
Actually, is that the competency-based education is not the issue. It is not at all. If you do not send money to schools, let me give you and our listeners an analogy. It's like a family that anticipates that our income every month is 30,000. So that family is able to plan, and it's even able to plan to have its meal plan, because we know that every month we have an income, say, of 30,000. So if we set aside, say, 10,000, so we're able to plan that it is sukuma wiki na mboga, na ugali na mayai. Once in a while we throw in a quarter kilo of meat. They are able to plan. So that family, in the context of feeding only, is able to have a balanced diet, because you can see it. Now that is different from a family that will have the 30,000, but we don't know when it will come. We don't know when it will come. So today we have 100 shillings. So when we have 100 shillings, we rush to the Githeri,
the next available spots.
The next available, So this 30,000 family can be malnutrited, because when you get money, you get what is available. Because when you had time to plan, you could even have gone to the mama mboga from Kisii, brings for you the kienyeji mbogas. You are able to plan. That is exactly what the head teachers, especially of primary schools, are telling the president today. That the head teachers today have high blood pressure. Because they are not able to relax in school. You cannot plan that I will buy, this at this particular time. I will do this. No, you can't, because you oscillate between school and Jogo. You to find out to the bank, has the money come? The money has not come. You don't know whether to charge parents, because again, when you charge parents, you're embarrassing an already bad government. So head teachers don't know what to do. Those are and they're expecting the 30,000 I talked about, the capitation of 1,200. It might come, but for now we don't have it. That is what you're seeing affecting quality of education, because when the school is not relaxed, and the head teacher is forever angry, is forever bitter, it's forever, because this government is pitting heads of schools against the parents. Like, for example, the parents of Limuru girls here, one of the reps has written to me and is telling me, Okoh, somebody needs to talk about the plight of parents in national schools. Our school added remedial fees from 4,500 to 6,000.
What is remedial?
The remedial
like
is
assistive learning.
Like as extra classes, isn't it?
Extra classes, yeah.
Extra classes. Okay, do not, these are outlawed.
Yes.
That's what I was going to ask.
Actually outlawed,
That's what I was going to say. I thought they were not. Yeah.
I want you to look at 6,000 shillings. 6,000 shillings to a certain household. It is actually what they eat for the entire month.
Yeah.
Because we are in Kenya. Let people stop operating as if others are living in Europe and only come to supervise us or to help us. No. All of us know. And when we are saying some of these levies have a direct impact on households.
Yep.
Now, this same parent who was added the 6,000, at our school added remedial fees from 4,500 to 6,000 and development fees out of the blues to 10,000. So this parent did not know that they were supposed to part with 16,000. This is 6,000 plus 10,000. That is 16,000. And they have been, from 4 parents, were to pay fees in 2 installments. First and foremost, whose sharias are these?
Yeah.
Whose rules are these? As far as I'm concerned, the Ministry of Education says 50%, 30%, and 20%. So why are schools developing their own sharias and locking schools out of? Because they say the Form 4 parents were supposed to pay fees in 2 installments, but we were shocked on Monday when we took our kids back to school. So you'd already finished paying your installments for the two terms, as they said, but they have added another 16,000, 6,000 for remedial and 10,000 for development, which is what brings me to the next issue that I want to discuss. That this government has no plan for CBE, competency-based education. And the plan, because I said, the plan cannot be the capitation. Because capitation is money for electricity, is literally money to keep the school going. But capitation is not money for development. So the money for development, the burden for development to accommodate the dictates of the competency-based education have been pushed to the parent.
But those are the conversations that are being had with PTAs and school management currently, whereby to justify the increment that is then applied is that, well, we need a new dining hall, or we need to buy a new bus, or we need to a new classroom, or we need to put up a new social hall, or rather a multi-purpose hall, whatever the case may be. So it is applied directly to a need that the school has at the time. So what was when you talk about the Milema report, Mbui report, what was the agreement in terms of what was supposed to happen for development in schools vis-a-vis how much then was supposed to be paid? Because that is the reasoning that's being given to a lot of parents right now. If we're talking about the plight of parents in national schools, the reasoning that's being given for the increment in fees right now is that, we need a new dining hall. We have many more students than we had last time. We need a new dining hall. We're going to buy a couple new buses. We need to, erect new labs and things like that. What is it supposed to be, whereby we look at development of schools, even the building of new schools? Where is that money supposed to come from?
It's really sad to discuss some of these things, because we seem to be opening a conversation that we do not then want to facilitate a national conversation about. Education is the business of the government. 100%. It is a business of the government. Anyone who feels otherwise must call us for a referendum. So that then we open it up to saying that it can be private and it can be publicly offered. Because some of the fee structures that the parents are carrying around have no difference with a private school.
Yes.
They have absolutely no difference. So it is we are now looking at privatization of education disguised as supporting the government to do what? Why is government having money for roads? Why is government having money for houses? Let me tell you, Nduh, this is a very interesting government that decided to rank the right to housing higher than the right to education. Without consulting Kenyans, it decided that the right to housing is more important than the right to education. And now everything we get to hear about is money for building this and building the other. And we all know, because Kenyans can clearly see through it. Yes, you're taking money where there is business. But because you do not think that children are your business, you deny the education sector money. It was never contemplated that it will be the responsibility of parents to put up schools. It is a responsibility squarely of the government.
So is the money that's allocated towards education in the national budget, I beg your pardon, not sufficient?
The government is not allocating money for development. You see that? It is not allocating money for development. What we expected, and I say this with a lot of humility, is that by the time William Ruto was coming in, the education sector was going through a transition. And it was transitioning to the competency-based curriculum, which is now competency-based education. I was expecting that William Ruto will fit into the space and say education is going through some reforms and give quite some thought to it, including at least retain education managers that had supported midwifery of this competency-based education, because they knew, that this is what we need to do and this is what we need to do. But that is not what we saw happening. That is not what we saw happening. He brought in completely new people and people who are so remote to the sector, and so that already, to some of us who could see through it, sent the messages that we needed, that there is no much interest in carrying out this competency-based education with the precision that it required to be done. And that is why, when you look at the budget for education, you will not see much variance between what was happening in the past and now, because there is no money for development. And that development, a child who has been admitted to go and do music in a school that had not looked at that social field of study, where do you expect them to get these ultramural stadiums, and studios and all that? Parents will be called to a meeting and asked to contribute for that. And that is why you're seeing fees going up by 110,000. But you know what? We have said no, and we are visiting, because it is us who are there when those previous governments were charging 110. It is us who reduced school fees to 53,000. We are still here, and we can still, reclaim our space and push back this state and tell the state. When you look at Alliance, it is very easy for you to make an assumption that all those parents have got money. No, the criteria that was used to admit those children was not income-based.
No, it wasn't.
It was results. That a child from Turkana, a child from Mailisaba in Kasarani has made the cut to Alliance. So you cannot make decisions that will exclude, that child. And we are aggressively even going to court to challenge some of these fee structures, because these are illegalities. They are not supported by government policy. They're not even supported by the law.
Janet, you talk about JSS in shambles, capitation in shambles, infrastructure unavailable. You talk about health, teachers unavailable. And here you talk about parliament and executive that is seemingly speaking the same language. No one is checking the other to ensure that education is delivered to the children of this republic. But you go a little bit further back, 2022, 2027, Ruto's manifesto. I just want to drop that in there. And the president gave a promise of 12 years of university basic education for all learners, focusing on reducing inequality between rich and poor students, strengthen secondary school education to make education cheaper than boarding. Just those two, because they are all the way to around 17. None of that is being achieved today. But I want to speak where Parliament sits in ensuring that everything, in ensuring that quality of education is done, is given, that appropriation of funds goes there, and that money is spent well, and Parliament is silent. Is Parliament the weakest link in this entire conversation? Because they have the power of oversight. They have the power to call government to ensure, to ask why capitation never got there. Is it the weakest link?
You know, I wanted to say that Mwananchi is the weakest link. You know, the common voter. And I almost quickly forgive them.
Yeah.
You know, because if you look at the amount of money that has been cut from the public basket to private individuals' pockets, and how that money can affect the voters, you need to be a politician to understand how that money can influence the voter, especially when you have caused so much pressure on that voter by denying them almost everything. Including a daily source of livelihood. They don't have. So when you come with 1,000 shillings, I do not want anybody to underestimate what 1,000 can do to a household that did not eat yesterday, does not know what to eat today, and will not eat tomorrow. It is devastating, and that is what William Ruto has mastered. That money can do almost everything. Money can do almost everything. That is what he has mastered. But I want to really, because when you look at the crop of members of parliament that we have, and you ask our voters, like, what criteria did you use to arrive at this person? Do you first understand that the member of parliament is your shield? Do you already understand that the member of parliament is supposed to be your shield?
Yeah.
That before the president gets to you, before he gets to your business, to tax you as heavily as he has taxed you today, he ought to have found this buffer. He ought to have fought with this buffer completely, a whole fight, until he gives up. That is what we want to put in our citizens, that we are where we are as a country because you gave very bad quality of persons who are supposed to be your defenders to go and defend you. Some people even voted for somebody who cannot speak. They has never uttered a word in parliament. And I asked them, so how does this person defend you? How does this person defend you? Because parliament is about that. And when you see people saying that he gave us 1,000 shillings, I almost want to tell them, when your child is out of school, can you go and collect that, go back to where you kept that 1,000, retrieve it, go and pay. Do not sell your conscience. We have suffered as a country now this is the 4th year going. And when you walk amongst people and you walk amongst people, you can feel it. You can feel it. Yep. I walk in the streets of Kasarani, Choka, Uko, and you're meeting children. Can you believe in one street of about 200 meters, you will meet 5 children who are out of school? 200 meters, that one Soko street.
But because
you will meet 5 children. When you ask what is the problem, this one aliambiwa uniform, aliambiwa alete kiti. Do you know that for you to access a public primary school in Nairobi, you have to go with a desk?
Yes.
As if the ones who exited class 8 went with a desk. They did not go with the desks. And guess what? You will be told it is not a physical desk that you want to come with. A desk is 5,000. So bring in 5,000. Not a problem. But I am saying the heads of schools also are operating within certain difficulties. But it is the Ministry of Education that is the regulator of policy. Why has the ministry opened parents to so much suffering? Some heads are running public institutions as if they were private institutions. And who suffers? It is those children that I am meeting on the streets. Because when you tell a parent, go and come with 5,000 shillings, go and buy uniform, you're supposed to bring this book, and then every day you come with 50 shillings, you come with, and all that. That is how you are meeting children on the streets. And let me tell you, it is not okay. It is not fair. It is not fair. Policy dictates that if the government is telling us that we are implementing 100% transition, when you're transiting to junior, secondary school, for example, that has now become another junction. And the writers of CBC had not, this is not what they had anticipated. It was supposed to further 100% transition. But when we created another junction there, where now you're supposed to transition to a different place and you have a complete set of brand new uniform. And I say, Kenyans are very interesting. Look at international schools.
Yeah.
They coexist all the way from the early years, all the way to senior school in one piece of uniform.
Yeah.
Why do poor people complicate things like this? Why do we like complicating things like this? Why? It is because we have to sustain certain businesses within the school. It is someone's business. So who has failed parents in that particular context? It is the government, because the government is not regulating the sector as it is supposed to regulate the sector. Why isn't the government regulating the sector? Because the government has failed in its duties. So to quote support from these people is, you support me, you keep quiet on the areas that I am weak, and I will also keep quiet when you're doing a few things.
At the expense of the nation's children.
That's
how
what you're talking about. That is how children are out of school. Otherwise, what explanation does the Ministry of Education have to drop access levels to the levels that access levels have dropped at current? Why am I permitting children, and I have threatened that I am going to carry children. I have called them and I have a list of them here. I will give evidence in Jogo House that you guys are walking around this country lying to people that children are in school. These ones are not in school. Let us stop the lies. Let us activate the sector that we knew, where we could see a CS walking around, going to schools. CSs would walk in schools and head teachers' campus. Why? Because of faithfulness and fidelity to policies that the Ministry of Education has set. But at current, a policy of the ministry is just another paper, is an extra paper. This is evidence, which I am taking to the minister right after this show. I am taking to the minister. I want the minister to explain to me, why did you release a policy saying 53,000? This is your school charging 110. This is another one charging 110. I've read you from Lenana School. I've read for you from Limuru Girls is at 83. Why? And 83 minus the 10 that and the 16. Yeah. So it's coming to about 96.
96.
96,000 thereabout. In fact, it's 100. It's 100. It's 100,000.
Yes.
So we can say that C1 schools are now charging an average of 100,000.
And you can't tell me that the ministry is unaware, or can you?
The Ministry of Education has got directors of education all the way to every county and even every sub-county. And these fee structures, from what I know and from practice from other, CSAs that I have seen, are approved by the sub-county directors of education. So the sub-county director of education is acting on whose behalf? Is acting on the behalf of a minister. So if the minister is not aware of this, I do not know that he's not aware. I do not know if he's not aware because he does not want to know or because he doesn't do his job. But what we are saying is that we are not going to sit back and watch the sector going the direction that it is going. Certain people must rise up. Certain people must rise up and defend the children. And let me remind parents, these children are suffering today because of your decisions. And we are now going to another decision moment. Please make good decisions for your children. They will not be there to queue to get that 200 shillings, to get that 500 shillings. Please do not sell their future because of a 500 shillings or because of 1,000 shillings. It is not nice.
In terms of responsibility, we're just going to go to a break in a bit. But in terms of responsibility, here we are, and as we just list down some of these things, but that you say that there's a direct relation between who you put into these positions of leadership at every level, from your wards to your member of parliament to your governor, senator, woman rep, all the way to president. Who you put in these positions then really does matter. And if you can't make the connection between what you're seeing today and where we are tomorrow, then perhaps there is more than a problem than we're able to then recognize. But then when we look at the overall quality of education that's being delivered with all of these challenges that are in at the moment, is it fixable with just a change of leadership, or does it need an entire system overhaul?
There are so many problems in education, so many, that we actually need an overdose. And we need an overdose of, I have said it severally, tone at the top. Tone at the top. Because what is messing education here is that we have the wrong tone at the top.
Yes.
That is what is ailing education. I want to give you an example of tone at the top and the problems that can portend. I sat here in this show when Nancy Macharia was exiting the Teacher Service Commission. And I predicted that, watch guys, that the Teacher Service Commission is the next thing that William Ruto has his eyes on.
For what purpose, Janet?
For putting a person that can be able to play ball. I am vindicated. Because today, as we speak, we all know who the CEO for TSC is. We all know what has happened to the process. We all know that the process was manipulated to end up with a certain person as the CEO of the Teacher Service Commission. Now, this has a lot of relationship with all the problems that you're seeing teachers having. Because this is somebody who is now a phone call. I mean, this SHA, you hear teachers complaining about SHA and SHE. Their unions cannot do anything.
No.
Because if they try and go against that, TSC is under CAG. It will just be told, do to KNUT like you did the Sosion Times. The deductions and all that. No union no union wants to go through that. And that's why you're seeing, for the first time in the history of KNUT and KUPPET, the union leaders are speaking this language and their members are speaking a different language. Mind you, the elections were barely concluded like a month ago. So you were expecting that this is the time that the leadership of the unions and their members are in sync more than any other time. But no, because the union leaders know the risks that they face by challenging the government. Because TSC is already under, the control of this person. And that's why I'm telling you, we are not running this country from the systems that we know. We are not running the country from the systems that we know. One person has collapsed all the systems, and he is now the system himself. I am the one who is saying, 23 billion has been sent to schools. I am very sure even the PS for finance was hearing the 23 billion for the first time at that particular place. And I want to show you how this one person has captured the system. Do you know, in this country, the PS for education one day walked to Parliament, the Parliamentary Committee on Education, and confessed that we have 50,000 ghost students. 50,000 ghost students. That's the PS admitting. So many months down the line, there is no single. Have you guys heard about one single course of action that has been taken? No. Because why? The teachers spoke, and the teachers said no. We have not stolen any money. The teachers have not stolen money. We dare you point at those teachers who have stolen money. They had nowhere to point because all the fingers were pointing at them. That is how come today. Do you know what it means to have 50,000 ghost students at a cost of 22,000 each? Those are billions of money. But today, the children will be told there is no money. But money will go to ghosts. And the president will do nothing about money. One day we woke up to a Daily Nation, a whole front pager of 2 billion shillings lost to bursaries. I don't know if you remember that headline. 2 billion lost to bursaries. It was the same day that there had been a controversy of somebody who had accused the president of losing too much weight. The president had 5 minutes on a rooftop of a car to discuss his weight loss, but could not discuss 2 billion shillings lost to bursaries. The president is blind to corruption that is happening in the education sector. He is blind for reasons that he alone can explain. How do you explain 2 billion shillings in the education? And the president has not commented. A president who has time to comment about everything else, including commenting about his weight loss. But he will not comment when 50,000 children are ghosts and are sucking money. Because we said, we know ghosts do not withdraw money. There might have been ghost students, yes, but ghosts did not withdraw money. There is somebody who withdrew money. And the records are there. What doesn't the Ministry of Education know? If you have records that you sent this money to this school, and this money was withdrawn by a certain person, who is that certain person? In short, this is to say that the monkey's hand is in the bag. Yeah, the monkey's hand is in the bag. And until the monkey removes the hand from the bag, we will not have a country. We will not have a country. And that's why I said, sometimes I am not being political. It is that we cannot discuss education in isolation, because we know all decisions are not being made at Jogo. The decisions are not being made at Jogo. The decisions are being made at Harambe. It is the president who is making every decision about this concerning this country. And I have said, he has sometimes said things, and the PS, the PS is actually the technical in charge. He's the accounting officer of the Ministry of Education. So how do you explain that the president will be saying money was sent? He was telling us the other day that capitation for second term, money has been sent. His PS, appearing before committee in Parliament, is saying, as we are speaking, money is being sent. 2 days apart. So how does the president know that the money was sent and the accounting officer is not aware that money was sent? You know, some of those things are not really coming out very, very, very nicely. Allow me to give an analogy to just give the inconsistency.
Okay.
Remember, there's this thing about the Tarakaniti Bridge. The Nithi Bridge.
Yes.
And I've watched it severally because I just wanted to understand the president. In 7 different occasions, he has addressed the Nithi Bridge. And in one occasion, he says that we have a contractor. As we are speaking, we have identified a contractor, and the contractor is coming. Now he forgets that, and again he finds himself addressing the Nithi Bridge. He says, "We have found 5 billion shillings to do. We have set aside 5 billion shillings to do Nithi Bridge." Now he very quickly forgets again when he finds himself with the members from around Nithi, and says, "We have 7 billion shillings." So you can imagine the movement from 5 billion to 7 billion. So to him, 2 billion is some change. Things that we can just
There's
discuss.
a 50 you've missed.
Now hold up, because that is the 5th time that he was addressing the Nithi Bridge, and he said, I actually sat down with it and I had to study it. That we have 2 people that we are discussing with the Nithi Bridge. One of them has told us that it will cost 5 billion to do the bridge.
Yes.
But this other person is saying it will cost 50 billion. Can you believe a sane person discussing 5 billion and 50 billion in one sentence? I mean, so this is how this country is being governed. Like, you're just fetching stuff from your head and telling us, because you have broken all accountability mechanisms, you have broken every system that can hold you to account, and now it is your word against everyone else's. It is a sad state of affairs.
It is a sad state of affairs, especially when we want to look at the majority of the population who's going through this system. And we can say for this time that what actually is the future, we do not know. Let's take a break real quick. We'll come back and see how we can. Now, Janet, there've got to be solutions. There's got to be a way. And who's going to pursue that way? But at least let's look at some of those when we come back from this break. We'll do that and we'll be back in a bit at 22 minutes to 10.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Traffic.
All right, what does it look like on the roads with some heavy traffic this morning? Still continues as you're coming off of the Thika Superhighway into the city. Some of that traffic goes towards Mungai Mathaiwe, coming in and outbound on Chiromo, that's Uhuru Highway, and then Ojija Road. That whole loop has quite some traffic as folks are trying to get in and out of where they're going today. So the rain is still coming down, so that slows things down considerably. Ngong Road is busy. We're looking at Lower Kabete, Peponi Road, very busy. Getting into Westlands, James Gishiro, over the drift, still busy as you then find your way on the Red Hill Link Road. So that's still happening there. Mombasa Road still with some traffic, especially as you head towards Haile Selassie. And it's busy at your junctions of Ngong Road and Raila Odinga Way. And as you're coming in from Zima Springs, trying to join James Gishiro on the other side, that is still heavy busy. As you get off to Landis Road, coming off of Jogo Road, traffic is inching across as you find your way then towards Haile Selassie. So we're still in traffic hour. We should have been out by now, but we're not. Keeping an eye on things through the morning. SpiceFM KE on X.
School is out and the fun is in. Feast your eyes and your kids' hearts on a feast like no other with StarTimes. Recharge your monthly subscription today and get upgraded to the next high bouquet for 1 full month. Turn your home into a world of adventure with Bluey on CBBS. Playful giggles on Baby TV and Jim Jam. Learning that feels like play on Mindset Learn. Non-stop action with the Batman on Toonami and the Powerpuff Girls on Boing. Endless fun with SpongeBob on ST Kids and thrilling wins with Super Strikers on ST Tunes. Unlock your upgrade today. Simply renew your subscription on your current bouquet and we'll automatically move you to the next high bouquet for 30 days. Dial *858# or call us on 0719 077 077 for customer care. Download the StarTimes on app to take the fun wherever you go. StarTimes. Enjoy digital life.
Vaccination is one of the most powerful ways to protect our children, our families, and our future. From birth, vaccines begin building a shield against dangerous diseases. The BCG vaccine protects against tuberculosis. Polio vaccine guard against polio. The pentavalent vaccine protects against diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, hepatitis B, and influenza. PCV protects against pneumonia. Rotavirus vaccine prevents severe diarrhea. Vitamin A strengthens the immune system. Measles rubella vaccine protects against measles and rubella. Yellow fever vaccine protects against yellow fever. And typhoid vaccine protects against typhoid. While the malaria vaccine helps reduce malaria in children. For adolescents, the HPV vaccine protects against cervical cancer. And the TD vaccine protects both mother and baby against tetanus and diphtheria. This World Immunization Week, remember, for every generation, vaccines work. Ensure your child and family receive all recommended vaccines on time. Vaccines are safe, effective, and available at your nearest health facility. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health and partners.
Online, mobile, and on radio. Instagram at SpiceFM KE. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
If you're feeling a certain type of way, not to forget that you can actually get access to world-class care thanks to the Aga Khan University Hospital. Specialized clinics in different parts of your neighborhood. Conveniently located clinics offer specialist clinics, diagnostics and pharmacy services, so you don't have to worry about going far to get the special care that you need, ensuring you and your family receive the best. So see your cardiologist, pediatrician, your gastroenterologist, along many other specialists near your home. For families on Gong Road, we're focusing on you, and we say that you can visit at Prestige Plaza, Valley Arcade Shopping Centre, Bina Complex in Karen, T Mall, Gong Town. Visit any Aga Khan University Hospital Medical Centre in your hood today, or call 0730 011 888. That's 0730 011 888. The Aga Khan University Hospital, world-class care here and now. At 10:15, we've been having a conversation with Janet Okoh today, and of course looking at layers of the education issue. And there is a certain kind of, I don't know if it's a relief that you get from being able to offload an issue from your chest and complain about it. But after some time, you're saying, we need something to be better. Yeah. We need something to be, something has got to give at some point. What is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back, that we're going to have to get this thing right or get it right?
I don't know that there is anything else that we can say that has not been said.
Yeah.
There is no policy that we need. There is no law that we need. We just need a leadership that will implement the laws that there are. That's the only thing that we require. And these laws are not only applying to education. I'm talking about even laws that apply to how our resources are spent. All our problems in this country are about how our resources have been allocated and have been spent. That is why every critical sector is crying. And when you cry, you are told we are paying debts. But long before you even finish understanding how we are paying debts, you're seeing the extravagance. You know, you are seeing, like, if I can just sum up the amount of money the president can give in a month. 20 million here, 10 million here, 20 million here, and I wonder, are we back to Moi days? Are we back to Moi days? Why is there no money anywhere in this country apart from money with a few? You don't think the president doesn't think that Kenyans are asking themselves that question? Why is there no money with everybody? Why is every sector, there is no money, but there is money with a few? To even give extravagantly 20 million in a Harambe when a school in the neighborhood is in shanties? I think that we actually need to rethink. We actually need to rethink the leadership of our country. We have made tremendous progress as a country in terms of policy setting up, in terms of our legal setups, the laws that we need.
Yeah.
But now we have now discovered that they are bad hands. When they sit on the steering, they will disregard every policy with impunity, every law with impunity. Because the first thing is to capture Parliament, and to make every development about you. That because you're my friend, I will do this. We just saw, someone like Gadoni Wamushomba telling us, I will be the president's friend because of this road.
Yeah.
What a law. We can never get to that law. It is not the president's money. This is not his estate that he is distributing to people.
Yeah.
No. Development is supposed to be equitable for everybody, whether I support the president or not. There is supposed to be a blueprint as to how my constituency is developed. But this one person has made development about himself, and there is nothing the members of parliament can do about it because we have the wrong parliament. That's why I'm telling you, 2027 is a defining moment for our country. It's a defining moment because people can see actually that we have a beautiful country, but it will take one person to destroy it and to take us 20 years back in 3 years. That's astronomical speed. We cannot speed backwards that way.
Janet, we spoke earlier about teachers getting into SHA and them being the saving grace for that to work, right? But yet then we have parents as well today who, number one, are unable to take their kids back to school because of fee increase, right? But here we've spoken about the policy that there is and parents who know that policy. What's in it for them? What must they do today because they understand this is what the ministry told us. We're supposed to pay 53,000 shillings. I'm going to school, it's 100,000 shillings. They're listening to us this morning.
Yes.
Should they continue to push? Because at the end of the day, also parents can't just sit and say, my hands are tied. Do they push as well, same as teachers are pushing?
No, what I want to assure them is that I can hear them, I feel them. And the problem is, especially the relationship that parents of this country have with the national schools. It's sad that parents think that the national schools are doing them a favor, so that parents cannot complain. I know, Nduh, you guys cannot talk. Because if your child is kicked out of Alliance, for an example, you do not know where else you want to take them. So, but we have them covered. It is us who fought for school fees when it was at 110 to 53,000. Let them watch this space. This is our country. We know the law and what the law says. And we are not going to allow anybody to frustrate the children of this country. We shall do it. We will not do it because of their parents. No. We will do it because we have a sacred role of protecting our parents. And the best thing that has happened to this country is the separation of powers. I'm very proud of the judiciary. Very, very proud of the judiciary. Even when we complain about parliament because it's God-forsaken and it is gone, apart from a few people who are really trying to do something about it. But the biggest cohort of them probably know that they are on their way out, and so really they're indifferent. But there is a place of the judiciary in interpreting laws, in interpreting, how policy. We look up to that. And I'm assuring parents of this country that they are going to be hearing from the courts, especially on these issues, on this. The Ministry of Education has to clarify to us, what does it mean when they say it is 53,000 against an illegal fee structure of 110,000 that parents are carrying around. I think these conversations are best, clarified. And I want to tell Kenyans that there's a very thin line between politics and education. We have seen and we have evidence today that a bad president will ensure that your child is a dropout in school. Your child will be a school dropout. I have so many children here that are sitting at home and their parents have texted me. They have shared their fee structures, and I want to tell them, we will discuss, take your children to school. Isn't it the president who stood on a certain platform and said, pelekeni watoto shule? Yeah, he said that. Watoto wasifukuzwe shule. We are holding him to account.
Even with the old uniform.
Even with the old uniform. You remember some of these things. Yes. So take your. We will intervene. We will be there to intervene. And they are very good heads of schools. Although I understand them. How do you take a child who you expect to sleep in the school, to eat in the school, and you have not paid any money? That's why I'm saying it's a difficult moment for parents. And I want them to really think about this moment. And they think about how bad leadership directly enters inside your household and converts you to a beggar. We have now seen Harambes for universities. They came back like they never left. And there's a time we enjoyed bliss. People were not, including the time I went to the university myself. There is no Harambe that was done, and several other people. So William Ruto will not run this country as if we have not existed in the past.
So I hear you making a direct connection between what is happening in your current existence and the decision that you make when it comes to the leaders that you choose. So it's not just an affair, that you're going to just vote, and then what you're saying is that the very pain points that you feel today, are you making a connection between that and the decisions that you make?
Let me tell you the beauty of 2027 is that the problems that all of us have gone through have brought the middle class and the poor together, because the middle class has been heavily attacked on the pay slip. The pay slips are not breathing. They are choked. Yet, even when you go to that SHA that you have been deducted for, it is still not working for you. Do not forget that it is this middle class that are supporting their ailing parents at home and those SHA issues. So we have a very clear understanding. In the past, the middle class has been behaving like, politics. They will be reading papers when people are showing up for nominations. They will be, some of them will even be deciding that they are not going to vote because the queue is too long. This time, in 2027, this is life. It's a life-saving moment. Everyone has a decision. Everyone has something to say on the ballot. Everyone has something to say on the ballot, including those people who were in the past acting so indifferent about it. They have been affected directly by bad leadership. And the poor people are feeling it. They are feeling it the most. I'm telling you, vibandas are closed. Vibandas are closed because that your business is not performing does not stop Kanjo from coming to collect their levies. They are doing it so ruthlessly because someone else at the city county is also waiting for that money, to eat. So, it is so clear. It has become so clear to us. Like, you will kill me on my payslip like this, only for you to show up with that money and distribute it like it was your money in the first place. I like how William Ruto has united the country. I like how he has united the country, and he has gone against what he was saying. He had put Mama Mboga and hustlers on one place and the rest of other people in some place. But these few years has united people, and I am believing every Kenyan has something to say on the ballot.
For those who may not take this role seriously, that somebody else may have to do it, because we can be, caught up in the politics of the day, to who your preferred candidate might be at the MCA level, at the MP level. You can be caught up in all of that.
Yes.
But how do we separate that enthusiasm, that excitement at that moment from the bread and butter issues of how it needs to actually change? Whereby you talk about it and you can be caught up in one term, 2 term. You can be caught up in, okay, this is my guy, this is not my guy. You can be caught up in that. But the things that we see, you can't lie about the things that we know. You can't lie about the facts that, or you cannot be excited about the fact that there are thousands of children who are out of school. You cannot lie about the fact that the economy has affected people in their pocket. You can't lie about the certain things that you see. There, you can touch them. Right? Whether you can talk about a bridge that was supposed to have been built 50 times, it hasn't happened. You talk about a stadium that's not there. And then maybe you go back to the times of, I was being explained to you yesterday how the Mlolongo system works. Dennis will stand. The people who want to vote for him will stand behind him. and we will count them until night, until you get to that. People said stand on business, stand behind the things that you said you were going to do.
I know that.
If we can't see anything behind you, my friend, then perhaps you shouldn't be there. If you can't fix things that we are saying have actually gone wrong, and you have a responsibility as somebody, how do you then separate and say, okay guys, we can be excited in the moment and who gave the most money or who did the thing and the sweeping crowds, but who's going to stand on business in terms of certain things that then should be done? How do you separate between that excitement and this thing that we're saying today that are pain points? You feel the pain in your pocket, in your home, in your everyday when you wake up. How do you then
know
say?
The good thing about this? The good thing about this is that everyone carries their pay slip. Everyone carries it. Nobody carries it for you. Your tribesman does not carry for you. You don't go to collect them, at one place. And I saw when we were having mafuta, the high cost of fuel, something very funny was being asked. What mumepewa price list yenu, or which pumps are you? To just say, all of us are meeting at the pain points.
Yeah.
All of us are meeting at the pain points. And there are some things that you will not be able to undo.
Yeah.
If your child missed school,
that's it.
If you paid fees, this pain that you see parents going through, everybody is going through that pain. And so, that's why I'm saying it's a uniting moment. It's a uniting moment for the country. And you can only, and we are calling it a patriotic moment. We are calling this a patriotic moment. Even if you could be very lucky to have skipped those pain points, probably because you're insulated by certain privileges, we are inviting you in solidarity with these children. Because I can bet you, if your children of your neighbor do not go to school, you will not know peace inside that your house. Even you will put CCTV, even you will put what, but they will waylay you outside your gate. They will beat you, they will kill you, they will do so many bad things to you, and you will be paying for your consequences of being insensitive, of looking away when other people suffered just because you are at a point of privilege. And that's why I'm telling you, these are uniting moments. When you walk into the villages and you try and identify, you guys, where exactly are you? You will listen. The people are not being incited by anybody, but people have experienced. And especially when we saw how it took the late Mwai Kibaki to bring up a country from literally nowhere, and the guy worked and worked and worked and brought the country to where it Uhuru and Ruto found it.
Is it time for Wananchi to set the agenda?
Wananchi have set the agenda. Wananchi have set the agenda.
They know. It's been set.
And the panic that you're seeing at current is because people know that Wananchi have set the agenda. Why? Let me tell you how Wananchi has set the agenda. The Kisumu example was a very good example, where the government funded, cohort with a lot of braggadocio. Of course, they were saying, this will not happen here. This will not happen here. Did it happen or it happened? Wananchi have set the agenda. The state tried to push away the former deputy president. They pushed him. They pushed him away. The case is still in court. But what have Wananchi done? Wananchi have stood with him in a way that has never seen before. So who is setting the agenda? Somebody different is setting the agenda. There is somebody different who is setting the agenda. And I like that citizens of this country, courtesy of the programs like free education. Now we have a very young and educated populace. Almost every young person is holding a phone in their hands. All of them, it's the information age. So there's very little that a leadership can do, especially when the pain points are with everybody. When you retire to your house and you close the door, away from the noise, you have come from that rally, well and good. You have come from it, but you have found your child in the house. They did not go to school, or probably they were sent back. So that relaxes you a little. And even when you are singing tutam and tutam and tutam, you come back home and relax because you meet your realities there.
and you meet your realities there. It's not a surprise that she's the executive director of the Tunzam Toto Coalition and looking into some realities today. And that's it. You come home to the reality, don't you? And that should actually fuel your decisions. Your reality should fuel your decision. Janet Okoh, thank you. You've been with us for a couple of hours today. And like we said at the beginning of this at 6 o'clock, is to have conversations that will open our eyes to certain realities. That's why we have them. Not to get you on a bandwagon. It doesn't matter what side, but to come in touch with your reality. Sure. And what are you going to do with that? Thank you for being with us this morning. We continue to have these conversations because they're important. And thank you, all of you, for joining us on this 29th of April. As we've had these conversations, Dennis and Nduh saying, have a wonderful day. We'll talk again tomorrow. Good morning at 10 a.m.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga. The Kenya National Highways Authority has warned motorists of a major disruption along the E10 Kabarnet Road following a landslide near the Kolol area. The authority says the incident caused by ongoing heavy rainfall has completely blocked a section of the road, making it impassable. Motorists using the route are being advised to seek alternative routes as emergency teams work to clear the debris and restore access. Kenya has